It is wait, what night is it? It is Thursday night here on the internet, and it is time for the debut episode of everyone's new favorite show to hate, the newest movie and TV live stream podcast on the internet. Folks, it is time for Tooney Talk TV. I am Marvin the Movie Monster. Joining me, as always, my co-host, the one and only Kevin Apollo, here today in a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt instead of his trademark small tank top. So welcome to the show, my friend.
I thought we kicked things off in our entertainment show by honoring Sensei Toriyama. So let's see, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. I haven't put the shirt on in a while. It's a little tight, so if I pass out,
you're just cutting off all the circulation to your vital organs.
Yeah, just text that one to my wife. She'll know right. What's going on.
Right. I think I actually have that same shirt and just like have never worn it because I don't wear anything white. Because I'm just like
this was a Target exclusive.
Ah, okay. So yeah, I think I like got it for Christmas one year, and I was just kind of like I don't like white, one because like it's just not a flattering color, and two just because like racism and oppression. No, I'm kidding. No, I also don't like it because as my grandfather used to say, I have a hole in my bottom lip, and I tend to like spill like drinks and food. I don't know. There's your cat.
Siren the cat.
Wow. Okay, so we just got a cat's anus in the first couple minutes of.
Let's get the chats going. We've got anuses.
Yeah. Okay. If you love anuses, you know where to super chat, folks. Oh my goodness. All right, we're off to a great start. All right, so the first thing we wanted to do is start with something a little probably more positive, I guess we could say. We wanted to talk about the X-Men because there's good things going on with the X-Men right now. And X-Men 97, I watched the whole thing. You just finished it today. Now let's talk before we get into the actual like meat and potatoes of this thing. What were your fears and expectations going into X-Men 97?
Oh, I thought this was going to be a woke dumpster fire. Listen, I loved the OG show. I thought that their fealty to the source material, but their willingness to kind of change it up a little bit was a super strength of the show. But that was also, we had different sensibilities back then, and I was very worried that that a lot of this the false narrative of the X-Men are an allegory for that Magneto is Malcolm X and that Xavier is MLK. Siren, go away.
That your cat just like really is like the world must see my butthole. Like not the first person I've met in my life who that's been their motto. But
so I was worried it was going to take us down a path that was going to make it unfun. But I was very pleasantly surprised. I got a little worried, in the middle, with the Magneto is right stuff because even without Xavier, the majority of the team, especially a character like Rogue, they are always idealistic and / optimistic first. But given the story route that they took, I was able to back up off it. But listen, it was executed almost flawlessly, and that's hard to come by. That is hard to come by.
You know what it reminded me of, and not like in terms of like content, but in terms of like the respect that was kind of given to the property. The DuckTales reboot.
That
reminded me of that.
Yep, that's an excellent point. Yeah, you could feel the love and the reverence for the storylines, for the characters, and they understood we had to get it right. Let's see what happens with season 2. But oh,
hold on, we got a first guest joining in today. Our good friend Phil Marks from Pro Wrestle Times. Hey, Phil.
Yo, how you guys doing, man? Apollo, Marv, it's good to see you guys.
No, we would not be a good first episode of Tooney Talk TV without Phil Marks joining in.
Hey, man, thank you. I appreciate that.
We're talking X-Men 97. Phil, have you watched it?
Yes, I have. I've watched it all, actually, and I can give my thoughts after. I think Apollo was in the middle there, but yeah. I'll circle back to me in a second here.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You were in a thought.
I loved it, man. Again, and seeing those '90s storylines play out, like for me, that was something that I was like, when they abruptly ended the show, I was like, dude, there's so much that we can get to. I was, and I was like, when are we going to get new members of the team again? Although Bishop was on the show, I liken Bishop to I can't think of his name. But you ever see Summer School with Mark Harmon?
No, I never saw that.
There's this giant black dude who is in the summer school class with them. He's there for the first 20 minutes of the movie. He asks for a bathroom pass, and you don't see him again for the rest of the movie until they have to take this massive test. And then he shows up and gets a perfect score. They're like, what happened to you? He just goes, oh, the stall was locked. So it's like he just served no purpose for the movie other than being this giant man. And then Bishop, oh, here, I'm a plot device. Peace. And then
I mean, he was in like the intro and everything too. So I was like, oh wow, they're really going all in on Bishop now. Like they always kind of Bishop was kind of like X-Men adjacent in like the original run. But in this one, I'm like, oh wow, he's gonna be full on X-Men. And nope, he was just literally a plot device to get Nathan into the future. Which, by the way, I'm glad we finally went into Cable's backstory. So I'm gonna say the one thing that I did not like. I did not like some of the voice actors that they brought back because Rogue does not has such a distinct voice, and I get you wanted to bring the originals back, and I respect the want to let these people continue voicing their characters, but Rogue did not sound like Rogue anymore. She sounds like a 90-year-old woman.
And same with Wolverine. Wolverine sounds like he was dug up from a fucking tomb in Egypt somewhere. He
sounded enough like Wolverine for me to be like, okay, I could still kind of get it. And that is my Wolverine voice.
Yeah, me too.
Right. That is the Marvel versus Capcom, X-Men versus Street Fighter. That is Wolverine. That is
Tornado Claw.
It just sounded like every time he had dialogue, they just woke him up.
Mm-hmm. How do y'all feel? Oh, sorry.
Ahead,
I was just going to ask, how do y'all feel about them? I don't know if you touched on it because I'm here a little bit late, but how do you guys feel about, I don't know if you were getting to this, Marv, so sorry if I'm stepping on your wiener here, but they killed off, it's seemingly Wolvie Berserk is gone and Gambit's gone, and it's like, damn, those are some drastic triggers they pulled there.
I don't think Wolverine is gone. They just did the storyline when Magneto pulls the metal out of him.
Right, so he's going to be Bone Claw Wolverine.
Yeah,
he'll kick out of that.
Yeah, he'll go feral. He won't have a nose for a little bit, so that's what he wears the pirate mask for a minute, and then Gambit. Well, the Gambit's fate is in a
spoilers, by the way, folks. If you haven't watched this yet,
I'm so sorry. Yeah,
well, although it's not confirmed, but Gambit does become a horseman. In some of the newer stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm just I was really more shocked. They wiped out a lot of I love Leech and Artie. Again, I'm old school, dude. I go all the way back. The original X Factor run was one of my favorite books to read. The I was left Xavier's school was never really a school until we got to the Jim Lee era, where all of Scott's summer students moved into the mansion. You had the X-Men, and then you had the New Mutants. But there was probably 13 people living in a 150 person mansion. So it wasn't until Scott's students come over where the mansion gets fully turned into a school. So I was pissed they killed Leech. Leech is one of my favorite little side characters. I'm like, they killed
you help Leech. Leech help you.
And I was always pissed that it was never Leech and Artie, because it was always Leech and Artie, never just Leech.
I know. But you know who I think did survive, at least the most important character on the entire show, I think survived Genosha, and that was covered with scorpions. Covered with scorpions. My favorite Morlock. I was like, please tell me she made it out.
Shout out to Morlocks, dude.
Oh, I love the Morlocks. Like
Me too,
you keeping me from what is mine. I'm covered with scorpions. Like, I loved that. Like this absolute badass Wolverine just has an absolute panic attack because he thinks there's scorpions on him.
Do you guys keep up with the X-Men comic books at all? Like what they've done over the last
Not
handful
in
of years?
Yeah,
I-
so in the last couple
I
of years.
jumped out when they became creepy pod people.
Yeah, so basically, like Marvel right now they're rebooting. They're kind of rebooting the X-Men, if you will.
Again?
And they have 3. Yeah, but this is so what happened was for a long time, they were on Krakoa, which was like basically the mutants became like everything they wanted. They're like this elitist race of people that never die because they can always just be resurrected, and they just live on, like mutants are just above everyone else sort of and live in their own utopia land where there's no
Right.
real problems and there's nothing that's interesting. But since those books really sucked, sorry, not taking shots at anybody, but
fucking
books kind of sucked, not gonna lie.
Don't apologize.
They're now launching 3 titles: X-Men, I think the Exceptional X-Men, and another one I'm forgetting, guys, but on like July 1st or June 1st. They're sort of
the adequate X-Men.
The
exceptional
factor, right?
Yeah, you got the exceptional X-Men, you got the adequate X-Men.
Yeah. The capable X-Men. But
the passable X-Men.
Yeah, the passable X-Men. But yeah, they're sort of revamping it where they have the ideas like Magneto is like a leader with Scott Summers, sort of what they're doing in the animated series, pardon me, and they're trying to sort of get some life and energy back behind X-Men, and I'm optimistic for it because I still like to read X-Men. So I don't know, guys. I just wanted to shout that out on the show. I guess we'll check that out.
Go ahead, Kev.
X-Men has been on the balls of their ass since Brian Michael Bendis came in and destroyed everything that was going on, man. During the
my god,
the No More Mutants was like just left the team in a death rattle forever, and then that fucking bastard had the audacity to come in and take the book, and it's like, yeah, sure, fine. The cool old OG 5 running around time displace was neat for 5 minutes, and it's just like that guy he overstayed his welcome, destroyed that book. X-Men has been hurt for like
destroyed Marvel. He had that whole era where all it was just heroes fighting heroes.
That's it. That was his shtick, man. He destroyed the miniseries and the summer event, turned it into a 13 issue, 13 issue just for the trade. Like it was really, he took what was really like a 4-issue event, turned it to 13, made it boring, torture porn, killed a bunch of people, brought them back. It was brutal. And then he turned around and did it to Superman. But yeah, dude, it's like the X-Men have been hurting since like what?
Yeah.
Since 2000.
It's all Marvel, man. Like what did they do with Captain America? Like the real Captain America turns out he's a Nazi, but then all of the heroes manifest
Hail Hydra thing.
Manifest wished their idea of what Cap is. So now that's the real Cap. It's just all the heroes are like that now too. They're all it's tough, but I don't know. I'm optimistic about what they're doing with X-Men. If the animated series was any indication of their new relaunches they got coming,
Did they really kill Beast? Did they really heel turn Hank and kill him?
Jeez, I don't know, man. Pardon me?
But speaking of Beast, in 97, see, I'm bringing it back to topic. 97, he was one of the people that came back the voice actors came back, and he was actually really good.
I was Hank McCoy was one of my absolute favorite characters. Being the size of a house and as eloquent as I am,
oh my god, we have to paint you blue.
Well, I used to love finding excuses to sneak in "Oh My Stars and Garters" in the promos.
I think I remember seeing that. Oh my stars and garters. God.
Indubitably, that's his other line. Yeah. I was gonna say Blueface there's already someone who does that gimmick, but I don't know, that's a bad joke.
Disconcerting yet provocative. First super chat coming in. Miles Engelhart checking in with $6.99 Canadian, and he says opinion on the animation quality. Sometimes I loved it, and sometimes I hate it. I actually really dug the animation. It was jarring at first, especially because the original animation. You're talking like Night of the Sentinels and a Magneto, Deadly Reunions, Cold Vengeance. I only remember the titles of these episodes because I had the VHS tapes from Pizza Hut. But yeah, that animation was just spot on. And then, like, despite the fact that the show was the biggest thing in the world, somewhere in the 4th season, Haim Saban was like, "We're spending too much money on this. We have to spend less money on this. Haim, it's bringing in all this money. Yeah, but imagine how much more money it brings in if we don't spend anything." So they outsourced to some like Korean studio, and that's why the animation got overly cartoony. Yeah, this was kind of like something between the two. I liked the way they moved. I really liked the flying mechanics. I thought Storm and Rogue looked great when they moved, through the air.
I felt like it was like everything you loved about Flash animation, back in the day. Like when you found someone who could really do it well. I like the vibrant colors. Yeah, I agree. It was a little jarring at first. But for the action sequences kicked ass. It was cool. It was cool. I felt like I think a comic a lot.
When I think of the animation for this show, my one thought was that final Gambit moment was beautiful.
Yeah.
Remember it? It was beautiful. I loved it. And by the way, so I'm gonna quote Nerdrotic here from Friday night. I think it was on Friday Night Tights, or if it was on one of his other shows, but he said, and I could not agree more, what this show was: justice for Scott Summers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. especially if you're a comic book reader. We all know, although the entire team has been getting their asses kicked in. My God, has Scott been eating shit sandwiches for at least the last 15 years.
Oh my God. In AVX, he was essentially a villain. I was livid when I read Avengers versus X-Men.
And it's just one of those, like, I never understood why Scott never got the love that like other leader characters got.
That Wolverine got.
Right.
And Wolverine in front of him and behind his back.
And Wolverine is never supposed to be a leader. Wolverine is the renegade. He's the lone wolf.
It's like, damn, man, like, I loved Wolverine and the X-Men too, but like, Wolverine is not a leader. Scott Summers, listen, Scott was worthless in the movies. Like, other than a couple of quick little quips in X2, what did he really do?
He said this. He went, Gene. That's what he did every movie.
and he had that wonderful line. What are you expecting? Yellow spandex? Which I love that they turned that on its head.
Yeah, I love that.
Was like, you expect me to wear that? And he's like, what were you expecting? Black leather? I have to say, one thing I have to say is they did, obviously Cyclops didn't come back. I think the voice actor actually might have passed away. But the guy they got to play him, he didn't sound like Scott, but he got the inflection of Scott. And that's like a thing that I always say, like when people talk to me about voices, like the voices that I do on Tooney Town and stuff like that, it's like, you don't have to match the tone. You mostly just have to get in the ballpark of the tone, but you have to match the cadence of how they sound.
And like pick up on a nuance that like maybe other people, like, it's just picking up on like the little subtleties of, that's why there can be a million funny different Donald Trump impressions, let's say, even though that got hacky and played out. But, it's like Alec Baldwin's was so good because there was just little nuances, because you could tell like he knows, he's probably hung out with Donald Trump. So he's picked up on little things, So that I agree with you fully there about that. And like you brought up the voices, because I was sitting there going, like, I'm looking on X, I'm like, am I the only one who's, these voices are just not exactly that? It was jarring for a second, and especially if you watch the previous stuff catching up. And to the super chat question as well, like with the animation style, like if you rewatch the original series to sort of refresh before you came into 97, all of it's going to sort of be a little
Yeah.
jarring. It's all going to come across a little weird at first, but once you ease in, like by the end of episode 1, I was like, all right, if they keep more of this will be really good. And it followed through, man. And I was really impressed with all of it.
The other one, and somebody in the chat just pointed it out. I do look at I look at the chat here and there, folks. The way to guarantee that your stuff gets read is to send a super chat. But they said the Storm's voice actress returned, and man, justice for her, because she was terribly written in the original. She was so dry and like the cringy episode with the Shadow King where everything was Mishnari. Like she was awesome.
Old school Storm used to cut a 45-minute promo to use her powers, and it kicked ass every time.
Every time.
My uncle, may he rest. I love him dearly. He was a openly gay man, and Storm was his spirit animal. Every time Storm spoke to use her powers, he would stand up and cheer. It was just legit cheer. Lightning. What was it? I call upon the forces of nature. Heed my call. Dude, come on, fucking awesome.
As like I remember as like a 7-year-old, we used to like make jokes like at school about how like Storm is like Arctic winds, heed my call, come to me. And by that point in time, like Sabretooth has just like walked away.
He's left. Yeah. It's like watching the Power Rangers change. You're just like, what am I supposed to do?
No,
here?
She was great in this series. Like her writing was on point. I love that they gave her the mohawk. I liked the dynamic with her and Jean.
And then it changed at the end when she powered up. Then the long locks, the long white hair came back.
The classic costume, the Pride of the X-Men costume.
Right. And I like that they did that with everybody. They went very old school. So they gave us a little nostalgia from just like the 90s look. And then they went, oh yeah, here's some even more nostalgia for you right there with the 60s look or whatever.
We got our Burn Claremont costumes. I mean, again, chef's kiss, man. It was a very needed love letter to these characters. Especially with we don't know what their MCU future is. I'm not super thrilled with the writer that they picked, the guy who the guy who gave us that awful Assassin's Creed movie and then adapted.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it's the guy who adapted Assassin's Creed /
if I may on that, Marvel's had a hard time locking in like their first, second. Not like I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but I'm just letting y'all know that like they're not. People aren't chomping at the bit to work on that stuff lately, which it used to be the opposite. And the people like really campaigning to get in the MCU is like Lindsay Lohan now and shit. We're at that point now, guys. So I don't really just I know that's not the ideal writer, but
that's a good segue to what I wanted to talk about with the show. With the show next is actually before that, they actually did Jubilee justice.
Oh yeah, she was great. I just wanted to say though on the Storm thing quickly, I don't like how the one thing I was kind of bored with the whole her little side quest. Not bored, but the way they split those episodes up. Like Storm's little side quest just should have been one full episode, and then the video game stuff and with Jubilee and the other half of the other episode, you guys know what I'm talking about. That should have all been one episode, or the whole video game thing with Jubilee should have just been one episode. But that's nitpicking. But yes, dude, Jubilee, who when I was growing up, I loved Jubilee, dude. I loved her. And this was that was another highlight for me as well.
That is Mrs. Movie Monster's favorite X-Men, so she was very excited about that. Also, you gotta look at the what we were just saying with Storm's little. I don't like things when people lose their powers. Like the cool thing is to watch you use your powers. I don't want to see you. The only time it ever worked for me was the first Thor movie. That was the first time that I ever liked like the super. Like there's rumors that when Superman and Lois comes back because they had no budget this year, like he's just gonna lose his powers from the Doomsday fight and just have no power until like late in the season. And I'm like, please God, let that just be a rumor.
The only thing I would say is they adapted that marvelously from the comics.
Yeah,
it's pretty much it was like pretty much shot for shot. It was just being an old school comic fan. And seeing it play out, I thought that everything about her story arc was awesome. The only thing that I was disappointed with is that during that story for her, that's where we get introduced to Gambit.
Yeah.
Is while she's on that quest to kind of get her powers back. I get the thing I love the most is they took all these stories that are all kind of happening around the same time, and they we end up with the X-Men being dead. Well, in the middle of this story, like we think the X-Men are dead. We think like there's only a handful that are surviving. Storm is powerless, trying to get her powers back. She meets Gambit. X Factor thinks that the main team is dead. The Kitty and Nightcrawler wind up over in England, and that's where you get the Excalibur team. And then it's during the massive fight with the Shadow King where all the teams come together. And then when Xavier loses the use of his legs, they go, okay, let's go home. And then boom, you get the awesome Jim Lee gatefold cover of what's to come. And and it's like, holy
by the way,
shit. Just
how many times has Charles Xavier gotten his legs back and then lost them again?
Well, so
like the poor guy, every time he gets to walk again, he's like the clock's just ticking until I'm paralyzed again.
It's not entirely his fault. So the original Professor X that we meet dies. He gets infected by the Brood, and the Xavier that replaces him is a clone that gets his brain. That's why that Professor X could walk, because he didn't have the spinal injury. Right. Then later, Shadow King breaks his back, and then he loses his legs again. And then for some reason, he gets them back again, and then he loses them again.
There is like there's an episode of Family Guy where they do like a series of like I think it's like the Stephen King one where in every story Joe gets paralyzed.
Yes.
And like that's what I imagine with this. One leap in logic that I did want to point out. Okay, let's say you're Magneto, right? You are the arch nemesis of the X-Men. Now, the X-Men have this feral, murdering beast with knives that come out of his hands. He is a massive threat to everyone they fight, except for you. For you, this guy is not a problem because he is essentially made of the thing that you control, okay? Why would you rip that thing out of him?
Well, originally,
because it looks cool, Marv, okay?
I know, but...
when we get to during that desperate fight in Fatal Attractions, Wolverine does go to kill him, and Magneto when the Burn team first fights Magneto, they get their asses kicked. Wolverine runs up like a badass, and Magneto's like, "Your bones are made of metal," and he makes Wolverine, "Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?" Like, so it's like Wolverine has never really been a problem for Magneto outside of what Magneto was willing to allow. And then the one time Wolverine got a little too ballsy, Magneto's like, "Okay, now you fucked around. Now it's time to find out." And it was just the one big extreme thing. You're like, "Why did you do this? You almost killed him." And again, look at it. It played out just like how it played out in the
you almost killed him back when like it was possible to kill Wolverine before we had him like get blown up and that like to a skeleton and then come back from it. Where I'm like, okay, so he's just immortal now. I don't.
For everybody's frame of reference, if you're going to ask me about superheroes, generally, I will defer to their pre 2006 power levels.
Right. You have to. When we're referring to comics, yeah, exactly. Or like, you have to, because people will say that like, "Oh, well, Ironheart was a thing in Marvel. What, you don't read comics?" It's like, yeah, I know 10 years ago they had this shitty book nobody read. I know, yeah, sure, he was Black Panther for a while. I know nobody read that shit though. So we're not talking about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
like, my Wolverine can die. He's not going to regenerate from a drop of blood. Like,
and like at the end of the day, you had that classic scene from Days of Future Past when the Sentinel blows him away and he's just the skeleton left.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So there needs to be an element of danger. I have never been one. I hate when writers are very free with killing characters. To me, it's very lazy. But you have to be able to put your heroes in peril. The point of me reading this book is, how is the guy going to or girl going to escape the danger you put them in? And the thing I didn't like was like, if you ever watch like the old noirs or the old like the Dick Tracy shorts, and like he gets beat up and like they push the car off the cliff and then somehow they survived. That's lazy. That's
Mm.
lazy. But like
Yeah.
when you give me the setup of, you know, he's tied up and the car is going down the hill and you're watching him work his way out of the ropes, and then he like show me how he did it. Don't give me the don't give me the magical MacGuffin. The you know let's work it. Let me see you work it
So
through.
at this point, we've hit the point where it's somehow Wolverine returned.
Yeah, no, that's it. So hopefully, listen. Hopefully, whenever we get to season 2, we get the cool noseless Wolverine. And then
I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
Yeah, I don't know about
that. I'm assuming because Apocalypse showed up at the end, that was which was the only voice I was disappointed with. I missed the reverbing,
Apocalypse. I love Apocalypse's voice.
All
who oppose me.
I'm deeply saddened that we lost the Magneto voice actor.
I know.
God, is there any one man with so much gravitas and weight in his voice?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I love it with Apocalypse. My favorite line: "I am as far from mutants as they are from you." It just every line was epic. Mystique plays you very well, Mr. Worthington. Just so good. But there's one plot hole that I need them to close, by the way, and it involves Cable. Remember how Cable in the first season is just like in Genosha, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's like a freedom fighter, like who's mad at the leader." I'm like, no, he's from the damn future. And enough with non X-Men showing up in their X-Men costume with the X on the costume.
I know.
I'm done with that.
Yeah. Well, they showed how he is like from the future in 97 though. And then
we eventually got there with the technovirus, which again, when baby Nathan got infected with the technovirus, I was like, guys, we've dealt with this before. We understand what needs to happen. Just kick Wolverine into it.
Well, I'll give them this. Hank did make it a point to say that the virus was much more advanced than what they'd seen before, and it would take him months to get to the cure, which they didn't have for Nathan. And then we got to see future Cable in the what was the name of the final Apocalypse story? That was almost the same finale. Was it Beyond Good and Evil?
The huge one.
And
I know what you're talking about, but we saw future Cable before that. We saw him in the technovirus one.
Mm-hmm.
Where he comes back.
So obviously him, you have Bishop, Forge. I'm not trying to, but season 2, let's think this out here. Who's going to show up, right? Like Iceman, Havoc. Who hasn't?
I would like to see both of those.
Yeah.
But if you've ever felt useless in your life, just thank God that you're not Nightcrawler in this show.
Yeah,
because he did nothing.
But you know what? I will get, other than
that fight scene.
The fight with him and Wolverine and kicking the crap out of the Alpha Sentinels, that was awesome.
Yeah,
they handled Kurt's powers excellently. It made me long for we haven't actually gotten it for real in the comics, but it made me long for that. What would it look like if Spider-Man fought Nightcrawler? Because both of their agility, they should not be able. It should be a fight where no one actually hits anybody.
Yeah.
Fräulein Kurt Wagner from the Munich Circus. That's a little French. Sorry.
How about like in Pride of the X-Men when he's like real creepy to Kitty? Fräulein, you left before I could properly welcome you. And like, no wonder she's like screaming in your face. All right.
This little Jewish girl is being interrogated by this German fella she doesn't know.
This German blue devil. Liger J81. Checking in $5. He said this. Thank you so much. This series also gave a lot of love toward the 90s video games, Marvel vs. Capcom, Children of the Atom, etc. Absolutely.
Dude, one of my favorite things was in the Jubilee episode, the little homage to the Mutant Apocalypse SNES cartridge. I played the shit out of that game. I was like, wait, there's a secret ending. I'm playing this game until I get it. I don't know what you had to do to get it. It's like the only difference is like when Asteroid M explodes, instead of it just ending, they're like, you did a good job. The Blackbird flies back to the mansion, and you get a group shot of the entire team.
Yeah, and I miss calling it the Blackbird. Thank God we're back to calling it the Blackbird because I hate the X-Jet.
Yeah, what was it? The
Come on.
X-Jet for so long.
The X-Jet.
It's the Blackbird. We all had the toy.
And also, I think there was like a couple references or sort of teases, if you will, of like Onslaught. So speaking of Marvel versus Capcom, so I don't know, just throwing that out there.
By the way, I see guys that there's some more super chats. I'm gonna get to them because they're off topic. So I want to close down this topic first before we get to that.
Sorry guys, marking up for the X-Men and all. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been
can I just point out one thing though? It is we have gotten Jubilee, Rogue, Storm, female characters in the Marvel universe presented in this show, and it was wonderful. Jean too. You know, with the exception of when Jean randomly phoenixed out and then couldn't do it again. Madeline was, but this show gave you female characters who just happened to be women who were amazing all around characters, and they didn't shove it down your throat. They didn't have any like, they should call this team the X-Women because the women are always saving the men. Like, there was none of that pandery bullshit that they became so famous for. But now my question to you guys, is it too little, too late?
I will say I think so. The ratings for the show.
Yeah, I was going to point that out now. It's
that. Listen, as much as we all love it, no one watched it.
An article from our friends over at thatpocplace.com. You guys should check them out on check out the site, check out the YouTube, also WW Pro. A new report reveals that X-Men 97 performed worse than the first season of Marvel Studios animated series What If. What
and
if
listen,
was, like,
well, sorry, I was just going to say, what if the first season was solid? Season 2, I can't even get through. I've shut it off probably 4 or 5 times. This show, I saw in the chat, someone's like, this show had X-Men 97 had no business being as good as it was. And I fully agree. I did not even expect it to be as good as it was. It was people who took it seriously, but it's like, not to bring it to wrestling. That's my gimmick though. It's like AEW, dude. It's too much. It's lost faith now. Like with the MCU, like what this show isn't going to do anything to make people go, oh, I want to go see the MCU now. Like the live action, so it's not going to do anything for that. Maybe like they tease now. We talked about the series on it. We didn't bring up how they showed Daredevil, they showed Hulk, they showed Cap and Iron Man. So we might get those series now. I think Marv, I saw you tweet out a while back. You're like, I don't want to see all these other series. I fucking love Spider-Man, especially. I was a big
Spider-Man
I want to see. Spider-Man is the one that I want, but we do not need to revisit Iron Man or Silver Surfer.
I loved that Iron Man show, but so maybe I'm the only one, but the other thing is that we got the Daredevil series was supposed to spin off of that Spider-Man one. We never got it. I'm a mark as a kid. I'd love to see an animated Daredevil, especially if they're doing what they did with X-Men 97.
I tell everybody, don't sleep on the Marvel Action Hour. Ignore the first season for both shows and just go straight to season 2. The Fantastic Four John Byrne run is one of the greatest.
I love that.
Greatest cartoon adaptations ever, and the fact that it kind of helped launch the Hulk cartoon, tremendous. The Iron Man, the reboot of Iron Man, where they should have just called it the Avengers Coast. I understand why they didn't want to do it. The
Scarlet Witch and everybody in it,
The reboot of the Iron Man season 2 was tremendous. Especially spending the majority of the season dealing with a very cleverly a demon in a bottle without him being an alcoholic.
Right.
Effing brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I was legitimately shocked that the Mandarin wasn't actually green when I first picked up a comic book.
Man, those shows are like what? I don't know. I'm down if they bring all those. I'm down if they do a whole animated universe, as long as they don't. Like the MCU would still be good if it wasn't so. It just got lazy and whatnot. Like we all know what happened. Okay, we all know what happened. But that initial run of the
Victoria Alonso is what happened. Yeah.
The animated, if they do the same thing, awesome. Just don't flub it up and don't start doing all this weird shit and trying to make me care about characters like Ironheart in the middle of Black Panther 2. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? So
I know. I didn't. I barely gave a shit about Black Panther.
Don't let Feige get off easy, because he's the one who brought out all this bullshit.
Right.
Without the Russos and Favreau to carry
this needs to be addressed, man.
Feige is.
Sorry,
I was just making because it sounded bad. It sounded bad before. I was going to say I didn't give a shit about Black Panther 2 to begin with because it didn't have Black Panther in it.
That's it.
The Russos and James Gunn, though. The Russos and James Gunn, like, they did so much. James Gunn did so much behind the scenes, planning out like a decade worth of Marvel stuff with them and giving them just his thoughts, like, by proxy of just working alongside them. So Kevin Feige, like, although he's great, he's not surrounded by.
He's not great.
Okay, well, he's not, but, like, you know, he doesn't have the Russos and Gunn and all of those people.
Yeah.
Really sort of steering the ship and making sure and putting ideas in his head. Like, there was someone clearly in the middle of that spider web keeping it all cohesive for a long time, and I do believe that's Feige. Like, I do believe that.
Feige got the benefit of watching and learning from where Avi Rad failed, right? Because he was there with him the whole time. So he gets his education from Richard Donner. He sees High Siren. He sees Avi Rad.
I'm gonna start calling your cat Aubrey Edwards because she just keeps hot dogging in front of the camera.
He gets to see where Avi Rad blows it with Spider-Man 3. And he got to learn from those mistakes. But Jon Favreau, we all forget Jon Favreau did all the heavy lifting for the early part of what was going to become Phase 1. And it isn't until they forced him to turn Iron Man 2 into a glorified commercial is where they lose him. And at that point, you had the Russos already in the already in the queue. You had Whedon, already developing Avengers. So after that, it was easy. It was an easy handoff. It was he didn't have much to do. All he had to do was nod and say, "Okay, sounds good to me." And we saw what Kevin Feige, without the appropriate support team, is going to give us, and it hasn't been good.
I have faith in the DCU because Gunn is at the helm of this. That gives me tons of faith in it, and I think his Superman movie is fine. I think it's going to be the one that finally breaks through, and we go, shit! Finally, someone did it right. I have faith in that. I'm a huge.
I loved how Guardians 3 was him shooting on Marvel. Like, if you really read between the lines, because Feige is the High Evolutionary and James Gunn is Rocket. And he's like, I have to get him back because he's the only one with imagination, the only one who was able to critically think, because all my other creations are garbage. Like, that was like him just shooting. And there's one point where the High Evolutionary is talking to Star-Lord and he's just like, I've been to your planet Earth. And Star-Lord's like, oh, great. And he goes, yes, it is great, except for all the systemic racism and blah, blah. And Star-Lord just goes, all right, enough.
Yeah.
I'm worried about DC just because of the team he put together. Tom King is an overrated SOB. He's King woke twat. Who he destroyed Catwoman. He destroyed Batman. He just destroyed Batman as a character in general. This guy has had 15 years of unchecked character assassination. He destroyed super. I mean, the fact that we're making a Supergirl movie off of Tom Kane's, I don't know. I pray to God.
Yeah, me too.
James Gunn doesn't F up Superman. I was a little underwhelmed with the costume. And I'm someone who actually didn't mind the New 52 costume when New 52 launched. I understood why we did it.
Yeah.
But I'm a little underwhelmed with the costume.
Yeah. I
also am a firm believer in, if you're going to play Superman, you need to be Superman size. And this picture, to me, this picture is someone going
like a schlubby,
This someone going, can we have Henry Cavill? And then your mom going, we have Henry Cavill at home. And this is Henry.
You know what it is, and I like the New 52 costume also. What I'm seeing here is, the thing that I don't like is, one, it's so dark. Like there's no color, there's no vibrancy. I feel like I'm looking at a Snyder thing, and that is the worst thing I could say about a thing.
Yeah.
But then you've also got the fact that like Vegeta is out there firing off the Gallic gun, and Superman is putting on his shoes with the gusto that I do to go check the mail.
We all put our socks on 1 foot at a time. Don't forget, we're all the same.
Not like that. We don't. Not when there's a. Not when you're Superman and there's a world-ending sky beam outside. And also, can we stop with the sky beams?
He could have had some red kryptonite laced Chipotle, and it's working its way through his system. And he is very unhappy. He has to leave the bowl. He
looks like he just got finished ravishing Lois Lane there, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go. There's someone blowing some shit up, Lois. I'll be back."
So I had the honor and privilege a couple weeks ago to be on an episode of the Pro Show with WW Pro, and the guest on the show was none other than my Superman, Dean Cain.
Yeah, that was me too growing up. That was my show.
What a guy. What a guy. What an awesome dude. He was just so like everything he said about Superman. He's like, he needs the sense of humor. He needs a twinkle in the eye. He said that he thinks where James Gunn is going to really succeed is going to be giving Superman a sense of humor and making him more like, they've never been like, oh, we got to make Superman relatable. We got to make Superman relatable. And the way they've done that is by like making him an absentee father and like, just making him a jerk. And yeah.
Dude. Well, what's it? Yeah.
And you just make him a normal guy. And the thing I liked about Dean Cain as Superman, and he mentions this in the interview that we did with him, is he says, oh gosh, what was the line from the show is, because forever it was Clark is the mask, Superman is the guy. And Lois and Clark kind of turned that on its head for the first time in TV. And the line that he had in the show that I loved was, Clark is who I am, Superman is what I can do. And I liked that a lot. I thought that was really good.
You were on that show. You were with who was on that with you? Gabe Al-Taib as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, Gabe Al-Taib. I actually just got my copy of the comic book, Dean Cain, American Lawman.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out Dean Cain and Gabe. Shout him out, man.
A great guy. Yeah, no, Gabe was a super cool guy also. I love that guy.
Good, yeah.
Some super chats here. John JID 999 checking in with $5. Thank you so much. He says, did you all watch the Percy Jackson series / what did you think? Growing up loving the books, parts of it were awesome, parts of it were cringy, edge was good.
Oh, I mean Adam Copeland.
Yeah, right. He's not edge anymore. But yeah, I didn't see this. I've never seen any of the movies. I've never read the books. And, I did watch the first episode. And the first episode, I was like, you know what? This is good enough for me to watch the second episode. And then I had to probably do the headlines that week. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch that second episode right now. But it's on my list of things to watch. Phil, did you watch it?
Excuse me. No, I did not watch it. Adam Copeland was not enough of a draw to get me. No, I'm just kidding.
If Adam Copeland doesn't get you to watch Dynamite, he's not going to get you to watch Percy Jackson.
But the original, wasn't this a movie or something? So there was like a movie years ago I watched. I'm familiar with what it is. The trailers looked totally fine. It looks like
it's a book series. It's a book series, and it was a movie.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't go out of my way to watch this, but I have no real opinion on it. But I definitely I'm pumped that Edge got to do that though, as like a wrestling fan. But no, I haven't watched it, but it does look solid. Just not my cup of tea,
The author, I mean, look, it should be my cup of tea because I really like Greek mythology, like it's like my thing. The author of this of the book series, I believe, did not like the movies at all. So I think he had much more of a hand in this. And I've heard from people that have read the books that this is better. But I think TV is the superior medium anyway, because TV is the medium in which the writer rules the room. Because if you are the writer of the show, you're in charge. You're the showrunner. If you write a movie, look at what happened. Greg Berlanti wrote the Green Lantern movie, and look what happened to it by the time it actually hit the screen. Dude, and his name was still attached to it.
Isn't that incredible? We had, when you really break it down, because Johns was with Donner on Superman 1. Right. So you had one of the writers for Casino Royale, so Superman the movie, the grandfather of them all. You get Casino Royale, a phenomenal movie, and then Berlanti, and then you get what we got. So before we go too far, so this was the last time I had opened up my Disney Plus before watching X-Men 97. It was I finished Boba Fett. and said, I don't need to use this anymore. And if
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
accidentally renewing it for 2 years, I wouldn't have it.
I remember us talking. I remember I tried so hard with Boba Fett. I really tried to justify it. Every week I was trying to tell you, like, no, like it could be seen as good if you, because look, folks, I am the biggest Boba Fett fan on the planet. Like Boba Fett was my thing as a kid. Like I had a million. I had not one wrestling shirt to my name, folks. I had like 3 or 4 Boba Fett shirts. I love Boba Fett, and like I remember Mrs. Movie Monster said to me for my birthday like a year ago. She's like, "Hey, I was looking at this thing for you. I'm not sure if you'd like it, so I'm just gonna tell you what it is. It's a Boba Fett." And I went, "Yes, whatever it is, yes." It could be like a Boba Fett like glove that I'm gonna punch you in the face with, and I'd be like, "Yes." So I wanted to like this show so desperately, and eventually I just tapped out. I was like, when him and Cad Bane for their fight got less time than 2 unnamed women fighting some big robot like for no reason, and then that dude doing that weird spin when they gave him the neutrinos.
God, the
Yeah. Somebody argue this with me. Somebody tried to argue this with me on X because I made the point, because here there's a point about this that breaks the entire narrative of the show, because we're led to believe in the modern day story of this show that he is so injured from the Sarlacc pit that he has to take these salt bath, the back to baths like every like 25 minutes, and he can't fight anybody. However, he got out of the Sarlacc pit, and then Mandalorian season 2 happens, in which he is messing up stormtroopers left and right. The thing that like I would give Jon Favreau my firstborn if he asked for it, for that one scene alone when he like shows up and he's just like killing all those stormtroopers. And yes, then he gets bumped by Sasha Banks. We don't talk about that, but that never happened. It's the thing that never happened.
It's the most thing ever done. And it's
but then you have the whole backstory of him with the Tuscans too, and he's fine during that. So why now in the modern day storyline does he have to go to his bathtub every 10 seconds? I don't like it.
I wasn't the biggest fan either in all of the Star Wars. I just completely fell off of all of them. I don't care about anything they're doing. If they put a movie out, I'll go watch a Star Wars movie, of course. But
it depends on what the movie is for me.
Yeah, if
it's that Rey movie, I ain't going.
That's what I mean. That whole last trilogy they did there was just completely turned me off. And then the shows sort of didn't live up to the hype. And yeah, I agree. It should have been like the whole first episode should have been like him getting out of the pit or whatever. Like give us some badassery.
And I loved seeing him get out of the Sarlacc. When that was the first scene, I was like, okay, I'm in. Because like I had Tales from Jabba's Palace, I had Tales of the Bounty Hunters, I had all this stuff. So a couple super chats real quick, and then I'll get to the point, Kev. Shaggy Filth 73, $10. Thank you so much. Just wanted to stop in and support the new stream. Wish I could stay to nerd out. Apollo in sleeves seems wrong though. I'm telling you, Shaggy, if he takes too deep a breath, those sleeves, it's going to be an Incredible Hulk situation here. David Banner, somebody slashed your tires. Kev, what was the point you were just going to make about Boba?
Listen, this is a case of what could have been versus what we got, right? Like you could break the show down and go, you know what? Having him with the Tuscan camp, to me, like it should have been the majority. Boba Fett is very easy to do. You just remake the good, the bad, the ugly in space. To me, that's all long and short of it. The stranger comes into town, he gets nursed back to health. There's a bigger threat coming that hurt the townspeople. He's got to make a choice. He's going to stay and fight, and then you wind up finding out that he has a connection to the bad guy, and so now it's personal. And then he whips everybody's ass.
Seeing Cad Bane was that guy. Like seeing Cad Bane in live action, I like almost died. Like that, my spirit left my body when I saw Cad Bane show up.
Well, here's a pain in the ass of it though. And this is where I get irritated with Filoni. Not everybody watched the Clone Wars,
right?
And most of the people who watched the Clone Wars most certainly didn't pick up that comic, which is why Ventress is running around alive in the Bad Batch. You should have taken the 32 seconds necessary to show us Kid Boba Fett in this fight with Cad Bane.
I know.
You know,
a flashback even. Give me a flashback instead of a scene where a bunch of teenagers get robot stomachs.
Yep. I'm like, we spend a lot of time on a bunch of unnecessary horse shit, and all you had to do is give people a little bit of meat. And they wouldn't have to.
I know that Cad Bane put the dent in the helmet, but no one else does, you know?
So it's you know, I don't it's you know, between Midnight's Edge and Doomcock, you could the story of Boba Fett and what should have been is fascinating. But it's also indicative of why Star Wars has nothing but apathy behind it, which is why no one on this planet is excited for the Acolyte.
But you know what? I'm going to go you one further. The Mandalorian should have been Boba Fett. Because everything we thought Boba Fett was is what they turned Mando into. And could you imagine the story is Boba Fett with Grogu? And like this thing is a Jedi, and a Jedi is what killed his father. And that it writes itself.
Well, I'm pretty sure wasn't it supposed to be Boba Fett, and he
probably
got told no, and he got told no, which is how we got Mando.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Wicked Witch probably got on a broomstick and was like, "Now."
So,
for whatever reason that she does these things.
And then the fact that you didn't get Boba Fett showing up in the next season of Mando to pay it back, I'm like, because you could have at least maybe redeemed him there.
If he was with them for taking back Mandalore.
Yeah, like it's like if it makes sense, Lucasfilm will go out of its way to do the opposite.
Yep.
Almost to irritate you.
Yeah. Plenty of Pixelot checking in with $10 says, for later, any Simpsons fans? We realized yesterday some major voice actors for The Simpsons are 80 plus now, and they don't like recasting. Should they end the show on a high note now or risk age ending it for them? Would it really be a high note if The Simpsons ended now? Like, I don't know anyone who's watched an episode of The Simpsons in 25 years, probably.
No, you can't put that toothpaste back in that tube at this point.
No.
Bring back Apu, and then we'll talk.
The only thing I like is whenever I go to Orlando and I go to Universal, I just like to go to Moe's and get a Duff because I like I don't drink a lot of beer, but like the Duff, I love the Duff. It's really good. And I
love beer, and I would love a Duff. Sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Drink a beer. Drink one Duff. What? Yeah, dude, for sure. We'd have to do it.
You go, I'm drinking this Duff. I'm looking over at Barney over there in the corner. Man, you know, I saw that one episode. He was a pretty good looking guy. Don't worry, I'm straight. My name is Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I am a heterosexual male. If you listen to Tooney Talk this last week, we talked a lot about Stone Cold Steve Austin's constant need to reassure everyone of his heterosexuality. Anytime he says something that could be even slightly construed as a compliment of another man. Oh boy, we got some more super chats to get to here. Desmond Nogla, $10 says, I think if DC continues to ignore American history and Superman and other heroes inspiring real life soldiers, they will continue to fail. If DC did World War II, it could be way grittier than Marvel. Kev, I feel like this is a your wheelhouse kind of super chat.
If you know your DC history, you can't ignore American history. I understood why they went back to World War I for the first Wonder Woman movie. It was too close to Captain America, but the fact of the matter is, in continuity they have addressed this. The Justice Society existed. They came together. They fought the Nazis. When it disbands because as we roll into the Red Scare era. People didn't really trust masked heroes, so they agreed to step away. Then when Superman arrives, because there is no hero like Superman before that, he's Americana. He's Americana. He immediately ingratiates himself to the American government. He lets everybody know that he's from Kansas. He doesn't tell you where from Kansas he is. He truth, justice, the American way. He's a light. He's a hero. He inspires the next generation of heroes. I think it'd be silly to shy away from it. Also, here's a big difference too. the majority of the Marvel heroes, not including your street level heroes like a Spider-Man, a Daredevil, Luke Cage, most of them are soldiers or they're military or they're spies, which is why
that's true.
Which is why they can kill, which is why if you know their identities, like it's out there, it's public. The DC heroes are gods. They're private citizens of great wealth. They're philanthropists. They're not. You can't have them running around murder, death, killing people because then they're no different than the wicked and cruel Greek gods. So they have to have restraint because they if they're gonna be a light, they have to show that there's a better way. And because you have Superman, who is the standard bearer, you're not going to step outside of what he does, which was part of the brilliance of Kingdom Come. Is the heroes lose their way, and Superman has to come back and go, no, fucktards, this is how we do this.
Right.
But he would never say fucktards.
Never say fucktards. So that's what he has Batman for.
Yeah. All right, fucktards. Gee golly gee whiz, guys, it's time to do this. He'd be like on Parks and Recreation when Rob Lowe would be like super positive, and then he'd leave the room, and then Ben Wyatt would be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna gut your budget with a rusty fishing knife." So you want to talk about superheroes being superheroes, though? I have one recommendation to anyone who is not watching it currently. And this is especially directed at you. I've said this to you many, many times. You will know. My Hero Academia. It is the most fantastic superheroes. If you've ever seen Sky High, it's basically that as an anime series, but like it's good, like it's so good, and the powers are so cool, and it's just all about being a hero and being virtuous and being like just it's good versus evil, and I love it. It's heroes and villains. All Might is like, Kev, if you watch any of All Might, like to the point where All Might's actually fighting someone. I know you started it. But I know you started it when you actually get to like All Might, like being All Might. Like, it's going to be your favorite thing in the world. Like, he shouts out the names of American cities as he does attacks. And, oh, my God, it's so good. It's so good.
Shout out Shoto Todoroki. That's my motherfucking guy right there.
Yeah, no, I love Todoroki. Todoroki's a great, like, his mother has ice powers. His father has fire powers. So his right side, he can shoot ice, and his left side is fire.
Right.
It's like, and his hair is like two different colors. It's great. It's really good. And it's just like some of those powers are just so out there. It's like the meatballs. Like the meatball guy, or they're like if they could touch your blood, then they could like determine like when you're gonna die or something like that. Like something really random and stupid and pointless.
Well, they're quirks.
But they turn it into something useful. Yeah, they're quirks.
Yeah, like that's how the way to describe. It's the best way to describe it too, because it's like, yeah, it's an ability, but it's so unique and not just like, oh, this guy can fly and this guy shoots lasers or whatever. Not shitting on the X-Men or anything, but you know what I mean. It's like these weird quirks about people. I love that. Another show, not to veer it off that, but do you guys watch Invincible? Has anybody?
Yes.
Okay, so that's
finished season 2.
Yeah, me too. So season 2 took forever to come out. Apparently, season 3 they're going to produce a lot faster. Whatever roadblocks were in the way there. Yeah, but god damn, man, that is a great show if you're into superhero shows.
It
if
did
you're
not go where I thought it was going to go either. Like,
and it's very adult, and it's like if you liked X-Men 97, this is like sort of like that to the extreme. If you like that level of storytelling.
Did you read the book? Like, so do they veer from the source material?
So yeah, a little bit, and then they compartmentalize a lot. And they sort of, some things they slow down, some things they rush, right? Like, I don't want to spoil shit if people haven't seen it for real, but yeah.
I may be committing heresy, but I am not a person who likes Robert Kirkman's work.
I typically don't either, but I like this. Like, I think that Robert Kirkman's like entire style of writing is just, he's going to shock you with things. He's going to shock you with things.
He's a shock porn guy.
I liked The Walking Dead.
That's a great way to do it.
Right. I liked The Walking Dead up to a certain point. And the point that I was done with The Walking Dead was when Negan had everybody tied up and he was going around with like the bat and he was pointing it at everybody about who he's going to kill. And I never had a single moment where I was like, oh God, not them. Because I'm like, I don't care about these characters anymore because I've come to see them as disposable because they can all go at any minute. So I don't
fell
care
off
anymore. I
season
have no
5.
investment.
Yeah, it fell off season 5 of Walking Dead. I just went, you
Yeah.
know what? Fuck this. I'm done. It's like this is but you know, I never read like all the Walking Dead books. I'm not like a diehard Kirkman. Like I didn't read any Invincible. I want to now. But I do. I'm familiar with like what goes on in the books just out of curiosity. You know, I looked into it a little bit just to see because I'm such a fan of the series. But the show's really, really great. So I just encourage everybody to check it out, especially if you're a fan of X-Men 97, because I was sort of watching them simultaneously there.
Me
and
too.
Yes, and it was almost like, I don't know, it sort of gave me that feeling of like, God damn, if I was a kid and these were the two, I guess I wouldn't be watching like these, because that's the thing, not to bring it back to 97, but they aged it up a bit too, but not too much to where it was so egregious, but it was sort of aged up to where we could all enjoy it because we're the ones who grew up watching the show. And so Invincible feels like that. It's like it feels like watching, you know, the old, when I first watched Invincible season 1, that's what I compared it to. I was like, dude, this is like X-Men 97 for adults. So I encourage everyone to go check it out.
There is one trope that can typically be a thing where if you tell me that that's what this show is about, I will tune out. Kevin, what am I talking about?
Evil Superman. I'm with you.
Evil Superman.
It's been
I don't like the concept of evil Superman. And I did not know going into Invincible that it was an evil Superman type situation. But they did the end of the first episode so good that I was like, okay, I'm in. Because you know what? There's still a good Superman here. So like I'm still okay with it. But Omni-Man, I did not see where that was going in his story. And like I like how realistic everything, like this is what it would be like if these superpowered gods were actually doing this stuff. Like people would be exploding into like chunks of limbs. Like this is the thing that would happen. In the second season, there's a scene where like the kind of faux Justice League, they go up against like basically the Serpent Society, and they're like not even like they're like dancing around them, and they are not taking it seriously because they think they're just B-level villains, and then half of them get killed.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
I thought that was great. There were consequences, kind of. They kind of like undid a lot, but yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, there's a big multiverse already, but we
John J.
you know how that goes.
John JID 999, $5. Thank you so much. Says, are you all excited for Tarantino's last film, and what is his best one? I grew up on John Wayne movies, so Django Unchained is number one, or Once Upon a Time. Look, for me, there's only one Tarantino film that I will hold above all others, and it is 2 films, and it's Kill Bill 1 and 2 together.
They're so good. They're so good.
I love Kill Bill.
Me too.
I saw a movie poster on X the other day that I shared, and it was Zendaya on like a poster that was like Kill Bride, and I'm like, yes, I would watch the hell out of that if Tarantino made it.
Yeah, with Zendaya, people are fantasy Mark booking it with Zendaya. I would watch that too.
Here's the thing at it. She was great in Dune.
Oh yeah, she'd be awesome, man. I love Zendaya. But here's the thing with Tarantino's last film. He actually it's going to be called The Film Critic, I believe, and he canceled it. He just said, "I'm not even making." He's not making that movie anymore. So,
Tarantino is so fed up with modern Hollywood. Like he is just basically like, I do not want to hear it. I've made my money. I don't have to do this.
Now he could. I feel like here's the thing with Tarantino. Okay, I think he could put this movie on the shelf. And then instead of actually retiring with his next flick, I could see him maybe like doing maybe a couple more and just saying, okay, once I put out The Movie Critic, then I'm done. But I agree with you. He's fed up and whatever. I don't know why. No one knows why really. But he just said, I'm not making this movie now. So who knows if we ever get his last movie. My favorite Tarantino movie, I love Kill Bill 1 and 2. Those are 2 of the greatest movies, and when you watch it all in one, it's one of the greatest things ever. He's also done incredible stuff as far as like Death Proof and what was the other Planetaire? Sorry, what was the other movie?
You're going obscure here. I like it.
I am, dude. I love 4 Rooms, like his segment in the movie 4 Rooms. To me, 4 Rooms is one of the greatest films ever made, and one of the funniest movies ever. And he directed like one section of that. But of course, like dude, you know, all of them. Reservoir Dogs, all of these movies are so good. Pulp Fiction is tremendous.
You know, I've never seen Pulp Fiction. I've seen
Oh
Reservoir
my
Dogs. I've
God,
not seen Pulp
so
Fiction.
you just got to throw that on one day and just get it out of the way,
Yeah.
because it'll, you know, it's a movie I've watched. Like, it finishes, I got to put it on again. It's so goddamn good.
My junior year in high school, I did a half-baked presentation on the difference between letterbox and standard view, and I used Pulp Fiction, and we used the we use the famous Samuel L. Jackson scene, and the teacher let me show it 4 different times because I had the regular one and the letterbox one. And I love her because she was this tiny little hippie lady who looked like a female John Lennon, and while he's screaming, and then she was so tired of me playing it that she just let the movie play, and we ended it with "I shot Marv in the face."
Look, first of all, that teacher definitely had tenure. If they're letting you show that scene, because I remember I had one of my senior year. My English teacher let us watch Old School, like at the end of the year, like in our English class, and I was just like, Miss Everhart. I remember she was like, "Oh man, yeah, I got tenure." So she's like, "Go ahead and do whatever."
That movie's phenomenal too.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. Back when Will Ferrell was funny. But the what were we just saying with this?
The best Tarantino movie.
My favorite line that he's ever written. Like, a lot of people would be like, you know, shot Marv in the face, English motherfucker, do you speak it? My favorite line is, "Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords."
Yeah.
I say that line all the time.
Yeah.
Every time one of my friends who's a white woman does something that I think is ridiculous, I go, "Silly Caucasian girl likes to play with samurai swords."
I think pound for pound his best movie though. And I'm not even saying, like, maybe it's my favorite one, I guess, but I just think pound for, if I'm just being objective, like, hey, what is a great movie? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That is just a brilliant movie. I think that's his best movie if you just look at like what is a movie supposed to be. But god damn it, man, like, I love Inglourious Bastards. I just watch that. I can watch that anytime. So there's too many to name as far as like one favorite, but yeah, he has a handful of masterpieces. And Marv, you got to watch Pulp Fiction, bruv. You got to do that.
Yeah.
Like ASAP.
Maybe I'll do it, and I'll like do a review on the channel, like just like my first.
We should watch it live stream. We should watch Pulp Fiction for we
like maybe we could do that on Patreon or something like that, because YouTube would shut us down the second you heard any line.
Yeah.
If you do a good enough impression of Samuel L. Jackson, like quoting the lines, they'll shut you down. But gosh, I was just like looking ahead here. Kev, what would your favorite Tarantino film be?
Oh, I was going to say Death Proof. And it's only just because it's not on the main list. Like, I love them all. I'm one of those people who has all. I have every Tarantino Blu-ray. I watch Pulp Fiction the most because I saw Pulp Fiction before I saw Reservoir Dogs. I even have a soft affection for oh god, why can't I think of it? Natural Born Killers, even though he hates it because what they butchered it, but he has it, so he's associated with it, so I have it. But I love Death Proof. I love the sheer simplicity of it.
I love it too, man.
That's it. Bad guy drives car, picked the wrong girls, and then they just whoop his ass at the end. And Kurt Russell is amazing. He is an amazing villain. And the fact that he, Tarantino's like, I need the world to see how awesome Zoe Bell is, because you don't see stunt people get love like that often. It's just boom, it is right to the point. And the fact that it was so I saw Grindhouse in the theaters.
Did you see it as a double feature? Like they did it. They did it like a drive-in where I'm at, dude. And you could drive and watch them back to back. Phenomenal. And then the fact that those movie trailers, Hobo with a Shotgun and Machete, got turned into real movies.
And I have them both. And I have them both.
Yeah, I love them all. And also, this should be mentioned as well before we get off the Tarantino topic, because I just remembered. Me and my old lady, we went out on a little date night, I think like a few months ago. And there's a theater. They play nearby, and they play like old movies and stuff like that. And they were playing True Romance. So me and my girl, we went out on a date. We went and watched that. Patricia Arquette. That's just a phenomenal movie as well. An incredible movie. And that was awesome to go back and watch that in the theater again. It was like I think in 2023, just at the end of the year there, I think. So that was
I love
awesome.
when they do that. I love when they put like random like old movies back in theaters for like a special Fathom event or something like that. I always love that. I always love going to those. I had a Tarantino thing and now I'm like losing it constantly. All right, well, moving ahead. Next super chat. Kevin Haggerty says $5 says Disney should have done more with Sky High. It was such a good idea. So glad that My Hero Academia took that idea and did wonders with it. Yeah, I mean, I was shocked they never did a part 2. It was so good. Hello, Aubrey the cat. It's just like, no, look at my butt. Like the real Aubrey. Look at my butt. Like,
dude, she responded. You creatures can like communicate with each other, Marv. Hey, you can talk to kitties. I didn't realize that.
BW Rosas says for $2, thank you. Says, have you heard of Ready for MeTV Tunes on 625? Now, I've been hearing MeTV for a while. I don't really know what it is. Somebody explained it to me recently, and I forgot what they said.
MeTV is just one of those. There are no real stations anymore. So like here's a bunch of old syndicated shit because
right, like they're playing like old school cartoons and stuff, right?
Essentially, like if you pay for cable is now what TV was in the 80s if you didn't have cable. It's just every show that was on before you were born. Except for us now, I get to watch the A-Team 5 times a day if I'm lucky enough. And then with them doing the MeTV Tunes, essentially it's going back to what Cartoon Network essentially used to be. So like we may actually get some Yogi Bear, we may get some Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Nice.
Flintstones.
We may get to see the Flintstones. We'll get some Looney Tunes that Turner didn't throw in the vault. Maybe.
Sorry, so what is this? This is like Tubi? This is like an app you download on your Roku or whatever, and that's what this is? Like a
I think it's a little bit. It's going to be an actual channel, but I also think it's going to be. I think it's going to be like a Tubi. But yeah, it's essentially it's a
like a free thing. Is it a free thing like Tubi is?
I believe it's free. That's
what you got to do now, man. That's what you got to do because Tubi is about to overtake Disney Plus because everybody's watching it.
Oh, dude, I just watched the Diddy doc on there, dude. They got it out already, bro. They were on top of that shit. Harvey Levin and TMZ were like, "Hold on, bro, we got the scoop." Oh man,
that's pretty good. I was talking to my father. So last year when I did security for the VMAs, I was on Diddy's detail. And so when he goes to get his
pause, hold on.
Yeah, wait, like you're glossing over this right now, and I think everyone's just like, "What?"
Wait a minute, hold on a second.
You a bodyguard for a rapper? Did you get shot?
So my father, so very brief history.
The greatest man who has ever lived is Kevin Apollo Sr.
My father used to work for NYPD. He has a historic record. I can't go to Mexico without getting his clearance first because his name is on a wanted list, and we have to make sure that we're going to go someplace that isn't cartel dominated.
Man, you can't go to Mexico because you have my name, and I can't go to Mexico. Hold on, let me make a few calls.
Then he went to Baltimore to be police commissioner for a little bit. Actually had an impact on the crime level. Then we wound up in a heated battle with a presidential wannabe Martin O'Malley, which involved the DNC essentially doxing my family.
God.
Which is why I don't fear you, Twitter weirdos.
Like literal drug cartels like had hits out on your family. So
I'm in the second grade, going to Catholic school. And I don't know, for like 7 months, I would get driven to school in the back of a squad car. And then when school was over, a squad car would take us to the precinct. And then from the precinct, an unmarked car would drive us to my great-grandmother's house. I had no idea. I just thought it was a thing. Find out years later that Jamaican drug lords had taken pictures inside of our new house and threatened to blow it up.
Jesus, it's like fucking that Steven Seagal movie. It's like Marked for Death or whatever, dude. Jesus Christ.
So, so my father consulted for things like the Shield and the Wire. So he pops up a lot on Curtis Lewa. So he as he has retired, but will never be unretired. He what he does is he trains. He does firearms training, works with special forces. Like he other countries send in their secret service to be trained by my father on tactical theory and execution. And from the side of that, we do he does executive protection for Paramount. So whenever he does executive protection for Paramount, like he's currently in a TikTok for the Jersey Shore standing around in the background. When the reality shows are in town, he needs a bunch of animals to show up, so he usually throws me in a suit. Whatever wrestler is nearby, usually Bull James Dempsey. And we'll go and we'll do the tour with him because he needs a bunch of guys who look like they're Bond villain henchmen.
And Bull Dempsey, hey,
yeah,
dude, shout out to Bull, man, it's fucking awesome.
That's one of his best buddies.
Oh, I love that dude, man. That's he was great.
So we'll do security for the events. Last year we did I had the entire weekend for the VMAs. And I'll tell the story another time, but in a 2-day span, I almost beat up the bodyguards for Nicki Minaj and Cardi B just 15 hours apart from each other.
Did you get hit with a shoe? Did anyone hit you with a shoe in the
No, but when the bodyguard pushed me as hard as he could and I didn't move, he realized that he was about to have a very bad day.
It's like the scene in Man of Steel when the guy in the bar like goes to push Superman and just bounces off of him.
Or like Luke Cage, the guy in the bar, he punches him and his hand just squishes on his skull.
So it was so tense that when I came back, everyone was like, "You're a fucking animal," and he's like, and they go, "We knew that things were not going well." He's like, "Because you always smile, and then your smile turned into a grin, as we know grins can't be good because like you just look like you wanted something to happen." I was like, "I never want anything to happen." I was like, "Never." But I also have no problem finishing it once it starts. But it was a really long weekend, but we closed it out by essentially babysitting Diddy, and we were with his head of security, who is this like 6'5" guy from Senegal, who's like I guess he travels wherever he goes, and so we had to get him up into the stage for MeTV and all that other bullshit, and like here we are, not even a year later, I'm going. If we had accepted that side gig that they wanted us to do, I could possibly be on a TMZ video right now.
You could have saved that poor young woman, Kevin.
Oh well, that was before my time. That footage is over 4 years old. That
I thought it was like 8 years old, actually.
I heard it was like that footage is 8 years old. That's just
who did he piss off in the last like week? Then somebody was like, "Hey, we've been holding on to this for 8 years. Here he is kicking his girlfriend's ass."
That shit was crazy. That video's crazy, dude.
Insane.
And it's like that's in public. So just imagine. All you can imagine. What goes on behind closed doors.
And to the point where even when he is not on camera anymore, when he throws the vase at her, he's still in the reflection of like the mirror at the end of the hallway. So just like, my God, it's like the most ironclad proof of anything that's ever happened ever.
Yeah.
That was someone with a deep love for Family Matters being upset that Diddy may or may not have raped Carl Winslow releasing that tape.
I'm just surprised he didn't stop and dance in the camera. When he was in your vicinity, did he in fact drink any breast milk, yes or no? In your vicinity, did you witness?
I did not see him consuming breast milk, but we did have to secure a gym that he did not use, and he did dance often. And the Diddy kids were always in sight.
The Diddy kids
ain't gonna keep telling you that we won't stop.
Diddy kids gonna be where all the action is. I was doing the Tom and Jerry kids theme song.
Yeah, the Diddy twins and Diddy Jr.
Oh man.
Okay, so I have a topic that I think a lot of people are waiting for us to talk about here. I'm going to give a little lead into it. So, back in the year, gosh, it was a long time ago. I don't remember the exact year, but my phone goes off, and I look at my phone, and it is a call from my friend, Kevin Apollo, and he says, "I need a favor." And I said, "Okay, what?" And he goes, "I need you to watch this show. It's called Doctor Who." And he's like, "I need you to watch it because I need somebody to talk to about it." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." He sends me this video that's like the first question. We were in the Matt Smith era at the time. I start watching with Eccleston, and I fall headfirst into this series. And I am just now all the way in. I catch up to Matt Smith, right before his regeneration. I go through Capaldi. I hate you for making me love this show, because what it has turned into is just the worst thing I could have ever imagined for something that I love.
Dude, we talk about this often. I exist in a place where Marvel and DC comics have been taken from me because a bunch of blue hair wackos have destroyed it. Star Trek has permanent brain damage because the guy who gave us a boring Spider-Man movie and actual retarded Silence of the Lambs reboot is just making Star Trek unwatchable. He actually gave us one of the worst movies in the history of ever in Star Trek In the Darkness. I call it In the Darkness. That's how awful it is.
It's very bad.
With glorious lines like magic space blood. The Alex Kurtzman is like the bane of my
time crystals.
And we're saying this on the 30th anniversary. Today's the 30th anniversary of All Good Things, the single greatest series finale of a TV show ever. I remember everything I did that day. Because I think like the next day was like some giant 8th grade field trip. So I was like, the only thing I cared about was watching the show and not being interrupted. To be a place where I'm like, Star Trek is like just, it stinks. And then I get Doctor Who. My grandfather introduced me to Doctor Who. I'm a giant nerd. I'm a kid who watched PBS because I just liked watching PBS. I would race home and watch 3-2-1 Contact. I loved MathNet. Can't do math or shit now, but I loved it. I was that guy, and seeing Tom Baker as the Doctor was effing transformative. I spent the following years tracking down any Doctor Who content I could get. I watched the Doctor Who movie when it debuted on Fox. It was like, I don't understand what's happening. This is so weird.
Oh, man.
And then
oh no.
Tried to watch it when it was on Sci-Fi. It was weird knowing that Eccleston was the ninth Doctor, but David Tennant was already tearing it up. And then it was gone, and then it popped up on Netflix, and then I was like, I'm gonna do it justice. I'm gonna get through this. Because a buddy of mine, who was also a big Whovian, was like, dude, you got to watch it. You're not gonna regret it. You're gonna love every minute of it. And then I ripped through it. I'm like, we're about to get that Smith, and I need someone to talk to about this. I don't have anybody who have OG nerd like yes, we crossed over with a lot of stuff, but some of my other friends, they love TNG, but they didn't love DS9. They were okay with voice. I didn't have anybody who actually watched Doctor Who. I gotta find someone who I know should.
You plunged me into this world, and I remember when Amy Pond and Rory got bamfed back in time. I just remember texting you and being like, I hate you so much for putting me through this hell. And I was happy in life until I saw this episode, in a good way, folks, because it was sad. Not like now where I'm like, oh God, no, I can't do it anymore. But basically, we have hit the point where it has just been sacrificed on the look, the Doctor has always been kind of a more it has always been about right and wrong and morality, and that's great. These are universal concepts, but now it is just about agenda. I mean, I tried to watch Jodie. I was excited for the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker. I was like very, very excited for her. I just did the Gary from Neurotic thing. I was like, okay, yeah, this could work. I want to see her like do like the I am the Doctor speeches that Capaldi and Matt Smith did so perfectly well. And then I was just like, why isn't she fighting aliens? Why is every villain like a white American businessman?
Dude, I was so pissed. They wasted Chris Noth. He's one of my favorite actors. You don't really see him do too much outside of Law and Order and be Mr. Big, but like that's the guy with presence. And I'm like, oh, you're such a lame. This is just a lame orange man bad allegory, and it's like it's already late. Like we're already past it. It's old hat at this point. I just it's.
Now, and I want to point something out before we like really dive into this and like into Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, because the problem, folks, is not the fact that like, oh, there's a woman in this. Oh, this is about a gay person. That is not the issue. Because my favorite 2 shows of all time, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Xena, the 2 most girl power gay shows of all time.
I'm gonna watch Xena right now.
I know.
Xena's so good, and Buffy is one of the best shows ever.
And these were shows about strong women who were just strong characters first and women second. It was the fact that they were women was not a central plot point, other than the fact that a Slayer is always a woman, okay, or Xena was a princess first. But that made them interesting. And you know, like Willow and Tara, a central gay couple in a show at an era where that was unheard of, groundbreaking, and I celebrated it. Because it was never about like, you know, they actually fought demons and like it was just that was an aspect of them. It was not all of them. It was not that whole character. But then you look at like that first David Tennant special with Donna's daughter, the trans girl daughter that she has, and every line that she has is about her gender identity. She's correcting the Doctor on pronouns. You know, every single line is just about how stunning and brave she is for this one thing.
Right.
And I was just like, no, like give me more, like give me a character that I can get behind and stop lecturing me. People are entertainment is an escape, folks. It is an escape. The world sucks right now. It really does. We are inundated with just news nonstop and all of it bad. And the one thing that all of us can do to escape this modern hell is to engage in entertainment, to watch TV, to play a video game, to watch a movie. And when you watch these things and all they do is preach to you about modern day issues, you can't escape. And the world is just a darker place for it. And it's all just and here's the thing: if the studios actually believed in the things they were peddling, maybe I'd have more respect for it. But Disney is always the first studio to abandon ship with these things. The second we have to get President Pooh Bear over in China to approve our movie to be there. Oh, then we can get rid of John Boyega on the Star Wars poster. Then we can cut out any scene of any kind of LGBT content. It's all hypocrisy, folks. And if you've been watching the Wrestling Channel for any length of time, you know that the one thing Marvin the Movie Monster hates more than anything else in this world is Tony Khan. No, I'm kidding. It's hypocrisy.
Oh, come on, man. I'm not that bad of a guy.
Okay. All right. So there's a commercial message about where this is. So, go ahead. Istophobe, whatever, that's not it. That is not it. It is a writing and entertainment situation. So
and it's activism disguised with in artistry. And
I don't need
really
activism in my daily life.
Right, and they're incentivized to do that. Hollywood, if you want to just group it all into the, it is shifting. It is shifting like behind the scenes, and we can talk. I don't know if like you talked about the roast of Tom Brady or whatever. I was talking to Alfred Konuwa over on Pro Wrestling Times podcast about that. We can talk about that after, but there's something from that. There's stuff that is sort of, Alfred pointed out that was sort of the because the last roasts were a little bit tame and they weren't as edgy and stuff, and this was Netflix going like, okay, we're gonna kick this door down again, sort of, and be like, okay, we're gonna make black jokes, trans jokes, gay jokes, straight jokes, white jokes. We're gonna make all these different. We're gonna go back to doing, like what comedy's supposed to be, laughing at these things. And I mean, yeah, and so Tony Hinchcliffe was on the roast. Obviously, he went crazy. Like, he absolutely bodied
the
an
greatest
amazing
roast set of all time,
dude. Oh hell, Nas on the pussy. That was the fun. Me and Alfred were laughing about that. That's one of the funniest jokes ever told. And like, Netflix, Alfred pointed this out to me, and he said, Netflix gave him this whole segment to sort of like introduce the world to what Kill Tony sort of is. And he's been pitching Kill Tony to Netflix for a long ass time, in case you all didn't know that. And he just did a show. I don't think it's public yet, but it just went down at the Kia Forum. I don't know if it's up yet even, but they had a ton of Netflix executives there. And he made a joke about, he said on the microphone something about Netflix, and everyone started booing. Actually, the crowd started booing, and when he brought up that Netflix executives were there, and he made a joke like, "Oh, you guys are ruining a multi-million-dollar deal here." So even a show like Kill Tony that really pushes the limits, and it's the #1 live podcast, right? So I mean, they're getting into the live market. So why not finally now? And he gets millions of views. He proved it. And he's been pitching it for a long time to Netflix, and they keep turning it down. But now looks like they're interested. And basically, if you're going to take a show like that, and even a guy like Hinchcliffe himself, who was sort of banished for a little bit because of he made some Asian jokes or whatever, it seems like
Hollywood decides that it cares about Asian people when it's convenient for Hollywood.
Right. And I feel like behind the scenes, it's starting to shift, though. And I know, as a writer and other people I know, and I think I've talked to Marvin a little bit about this, off air and stuff. It's like, I feel like it's shifting a bit, like, personally, from what I'm witnessing and feeling. It's like people are not caring about that stuff so much, but we're still seeing it because everything was made 2 years ago. So the way everyone was thinking 2 years ago, that's all the shit we're seeing now on TV, and other than live content. And that's why that roast was very important. I just think if they're investing in a show like Kill Tony, that shows like Netflix, at least, who are proprietors of the quote unquote woke, if you will, or whatever, they're now leaning into this, and I'm happy for it. And they're leaning into wrestling, and wrestling doesn't really get woke on anyone. I don't feel, not WWE at least.
Well, no, not WWE. AEW gets into the weeds. But
so I just think it's all the trajectories all sort of pointing in that direction. Like, it's going to get better. I think it's all starting to shift back. But you are right. You are right about Hollywood really dropped the ball the last, I'd say a decade.
It's been about 12 years. It's once you get out of, maybe little bit longer, once you get out of 2012 and you're like, oh, we need a new group of people to not to be mean about it, but we need a new group of victims. Now all of a sudden, like, everybody's back to being everybody's back to being racist again, and then now everybody's back to being a homophobe. He's like, wait, hold on a second. What are you talking about? Like, I just go like, if you were in high school from 75 to 2005, you were in high school during the single most diverse time in American history. The and not to be crass, but like if you met an Asian person, everybody was Chinese. Think about it, they were Korean, Japanese. If you were Hispanic, you were Mexican, or you were Puerto Rican. No one knew what to do with Indian people. You like, oh, okay. And it came into, well, are you a dick or not? I liked you for the bloody content of your character, not because you were. And then it's like, as you get a little further away from that, and you see everybody kind of start getting compartmentalized, and like, you can't take the generation that grew up with that grew up with the I'm gay episode of Ellen. The kids who legitimately don't give a crap. No one cared. No one. You can't say the word unless it's an episode of South Park, but took the 3-letter F word, and if you used it, it had absolutely nothing to do with your sexuality and everything to do with the level of douchebag you were.
Right.
So it's like, don't.
Well, you can get away with that word if you were South Park or Melanie Mac.
Yes.
Or Tony Hinchcliffe on the Tom Brady roast. He dropped.
Yeah, Tony Hinchcliffe dropped it. My jaw hit the floor.
I was like, it's great. Yes, we can say gay and retard again.
Yeah. Hey, I never stop saying retarded. Let's get that straight.
I'll be honest. I tell everybody all the time. I'm a latchkey kid. I'm gonna say what I want. I don't care about you. I work for Southerners. I'm good. So it's like don't sit here and lecture me about being something that I'm not when I'm a part of the first generation who actually didn't really give a shit. I hope we got some elder gays watching because I'm like, hey, like of all my older gay friends or my uncle's friends, like no one, it wasn't about their sexuality, it's about their personalities.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, if I like a character, a TV show, like if a character was always gay, if a character was always black, if a character was always Asian, no one cared. But when you change a character, now all of a sudden they're gay. Now all of a sudden this redheaded character is black.
Yeah.
No, there's a problem.
Obi-Wan's bi all of a sudden. All right. SpongeBob's been gay this whole time. What? What the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like you
like stop. People need to stop like sexualizing cartoon characters. And being,
like, what are we doing?
I need to know who Patrick Star wants to bang. Like, no, you don't.
That's that weird, those Tumblr weirdos who manage to like kind of weasel their way into having like a creative input.
It was also, it's not even weasel, like they were sought out in a lot of instances as well. There's incentivization. We don't need to get into all the black helicopters, the conspiracies of it all, but there's definitely, listen, there's incentive. What's the word I'm looking for? Motherfuckers made money by quote unquote, the word they use is diversifying, So, and I'm cool. I'm cool with representation and all that sort of stuff. I'm cool with all of that, but it's got to be.
Representation is not a bad thing.
It's like now we're doing like the brainwashing thing where people, like you said, are preaching. I'm trying to watch Hocus Pocus 2 and laugh at the Sanderson sisters. I'm not trying to get lectured about fucking the patriarchal fear of women aging. That's what one of the little kids says in that show, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? What is this?
Like,
and the thing is, like, you want more black superheroes. I think that's great. There should be more black superheroes. So make a black superhero. Don't turn Spider-Man. Don't or like okay, we're gonna have an Asian Hulk now. No, make a new hero.
Falcon's Captain America. Like, that doesn't need to happen.
Everyone liked the Falcon as the Falcon because that was his identity.
There's nothing more insulting to a group of minorities because you, instead of turning around and making a brand new Bishop, we're going to take a character like Falcon, and the studio's going, this character really isn't marketable, so we're going to make him Captain America.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're as a black character, you're not worth anything unless we can shop at the White Hero Salvation Army store, and then you get to go steal their clothes.
Exactly. You're not validated unless you like. That's how I look at it too. And I'm just like, God damn it, dude. Falcon was cool enough. Like, I wanted to see more of that character for sure. He was one of my favorite MCU guys for a while.
But Steve Rogers is Captain America. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Bruce Wayne is Batman. These are things that will always be. Like the thing. I love Miles as a character. I thought Miles should have had his own name because. Miles will never be Spider-Man. Peter Parker will always be Spider-Man. Miles will always be Black Spider-Man. And he's better than that.
Miles will always be Ultimate Spider-Man. If you left Miles where he was
dude, Ultimate Spider-Man.
Because yes, I get it. Like they used Peter to launch the book, and then they're like, well, we got to do something different.
Well, they were going to get sued. They were going to lose the Spider-Man rights. So they go, they're like, we need to make, like, basically this is the conspiracy theory. No, it's what it is because it happened to DC with Superman. But with Spider-Man, it's like they basically were introducing Miles because they're like, if we lose the right to Peter Parker and all of that, we have a Spider-Man lined up right here. Here's the new one. And that's why in the comics they merged like Earth 1610 with 616, but like only Miles' history and all of that was merged into the main universe, all of that. So, but I like Miles too. I actually do enjoy that. And I'm okay with multiverse stuff.
He's got cool powers too. He's got a unique power set. It's, have we given enough of like a commercial message here so we can get to like bashing Doctor Who now? You think?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, hold on real quick. John JID 999, thank you for $5. Says there's this show from the lead is Harold. I don't know how to say that. Pernier. It's a suspense horror show. It's made by people who made Lost, and the diversity is done right. Yeah, because they're probably actual characters. They're probably well written. I mean,
or
that
like
made
that
Lost,
show Baby Reindeer on.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? I don't know. It was a good show.
No, I saw the trailer for it. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, so they tackle some of those issues, sort of a little bit of it, but they do it in a way where it's like, okay, I like these characters, and I like it. Just all makes it's not just them like preaching some sort of shit to me. It's just these are the people in this compelling story. So I don't know, man. There's ways to do it, but there's a reason it's so preachy and activist-y. That's by design, if you will, not to be conspiratorial, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
So everything we are talking about, everybody getting tired of this, and people are like, oh, there's no proof that people are actually getting tired of this. That's just rhetoric. I would like to point out something from a video. And I'm not going to play the clip. I just have a screenshot set up from Heels versus Babyface, who I love. I think Az is a fantastic YouTuber.
Shout out Oz.
Yeah. Here is the overnight and consolidated ratings for every Doctor's first episode. Christopher Eccleston in Rose, 9.9 million people in the overnight, 10.81 consolidated. David Tennant in The Christmas Invasion, 9.4 million overnight, 9.84 consolidated. Matt Smith in The 11th Hour, which he says, and rightfully so, one of the greatest episodes of Doctor Who to ever exist.
Well, the proof is in the numbers right there. 8 mil watched it. Look at that next day. Look at the
10 mil consolidated.
Wowza.
I mean, that was the that was the one where it was like he calls the aliens back to like yell at them. It was like, if you're gonna follow David Tennant, everybody had their arms crossed, like, who's this new guy? And then by the end of it, when he says, like, in other words, run, we were all like, okay, this guy's the Doctor. We're good. We're gonna Peter Capaldi in Deep Breath, 6.79 million, 9.17.
And that one too. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Jodie Whittaker, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, 8.2 million, 10.54 million. Because people were curious.
And that was everybody going, we're going to give this a chance. It could be fascinating.
So guys, I'm not the biggest, I'm not super, I like David Tennant as Doctor. I'm not like the biggest Doctor Who fan ever. My dad was really into it, but I wasn't as much into it. So with Whittaker in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So Doctor Who was a woman for how long? How long did it go? It was 3 seasons? 4? 3
seasons. Yeah.
Okay,
now that's pretty typical. Usually they do 3 seasons and then a regeneration.
You got to think of the Doctors like almost like presidents. They generally don't last more than 4 years.
Okay,
there's only been one, like Tom Baker essentially went for 2 terms.
And then didn't Tennant come back at some point? Like, I remember that being a big deal.
And it came back after Whittaker to try to clean it up a little bit, and it's all weird.
Okay, and then
it was like the big 3 or 4 episodes, and then he regenerated. So David Tennant is technically the 14th Doctor and the 10th Doctor, and then Ncuti Gatwa is the 15th Doctor.
Oh, Time Cop, it's my favorite movie. No, just kidding. But so can you guys break down to me, just in layman's terms, like, what is the big fuss with the new Doctor, the new series, the new actor? I saw like he was quoted like blaming the fans. That's what all these people do. Then they wonder why no one watches the fucking show. And I'm sure you're about to break it down.
Let's take a look right here.
Yeah.
Episode 1 for Ncuti Gatwa's first. So look, 10 million, 9 million, 9 million. Overnights were 2.6 million. Consolidated with 3.71 million.
But people don't watch TV anymore, Marv. So what
and you know what? And then they were like, oh, most people are probably watching on BBC iPlayer. No, because we got those numbers too, and it was like 4 million. It was like 4 million in total.
Why aren't people tuning in? Break it down for someone who like might not be familiar with Doctor Who and like all the controversy right now. Like, why is there a stink over the actor and all that? Because I'm genuinely curious on all of this.
It
all comes. Go ahead, Kev. I'll let you do this.
Okay, so there's 2 things that happened. During the Whittaker era, they made a decision that because the Doctor was a white male, that his backstory needed to be changed. And a really long rant about colonialism, we find out that the Doctor was not a white male. but that he was a little black girl.
Jesus
You know,
Christ.
yeah.
And I'm native, and I'm sitting here going, "What about us, bro?"
Yeah.
They're scared. They don't want to mess with. They don't want to mess with you guys. They got the native flu.
Yeah.
And everything that we thought about the Doctor, or that we knew about the Doctor and his race was stolen, and appropriated. It gets really shitty.
So they didn't just do some shitty shit this season. They turned it into let's retcon and reboot the whole entirety of what Doctor Who is, basically.
And it completely undercuts the importance and the reverence that has always been shown to William Hartnell, the first Doctor, because he's not the first Doctor anymore. The Doctor has regenerated like 20 times before William Hartnell.
It's what I tell everybody is it is a Last Jedi moment where like it poisons everything that you love because everything leads to this moment. Like Luke Skywalker was such a broken, toxic character in that movie that you can't sit down now and watch A New Hope without it being tainted for you. And when you watch it, you watch it, you know it was done out of malice. It was we don't like you, and the fans rejected it thoroughly, immediately. And this Doctor is suffering because they not doubled down on it, they tripled down on it. And to the point where again it's same shit. If you don't like it, you're a bigot, don't watch.
And Ncuti Gatwa got on in an interview and he was like, look, if you don't want to watch it, then whatever, don't watch it. Go outside, touch grass if you don't want to watch this. And touch grass was his big thing. Like he's an AEW fan or something like that.
Like touch grass is something that like a jock says because it's like, you're a sunless, you haven't experienced the sun. You're a creepy little incel who's never gotten laid. So like when a creepy incel says it, it doesn't work. You're using it wrong.
Yeah.
So
I hate that whole like, don't watch it then if you don't. It's like that's the opposite of what you should be doing right now.
But they tell you don't watch it,
and then they don't.
Tell you don't watch it, and then
then
he blames racism for viewers abandoning the shows. It's
happened so much. It's happened so much in so many different like forms of just media in general, and it over the last how long, and it's just ruining everything.
Birds of Prey, right? They tell you for weeks, don't watch this movie. It isn't for men. We don't need men. Blah 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 blah. It gets creamed by Sonic the Hedgehog, and then the next week we change the title, and everybody's screaming, "How come men aren't going to see this movie?" And then the pandemic happens, and they kind of blame it on the pandemic. Then Charlie's Angels comes out.
That's the classic dueling headline for Charlie's Angels, where it's like, "Sorry, white men, this is not for you." And then the next headline is, "Why didn't white men go see Charlie's Angels?"
Yeah, and that happened with the Marvels, where it was like people were like, "Why didn't men go see the Marvels?" And
they did.
They did. It was like 80% of the audience, or like it was like 75% of the audience that bought tickets were men or whatever.
Who didn't go see the Marvels? Women.
Yeah, my girlfriend loves Captain Marvel. That's her favorite MCU movie. 15 minutes into the Marvels, she's like, "You need to shut this shit off." And I was like, "Really?" And so I fast forwarded through it, and to the post credits.
When I ask my wife about a Marvel movie, it's usually a coin flip. But it's like Spider-Man: No Way Home. She wanted to go see that. She wanted to go see Thor: Love and Thunder. She wants to go see Deadpool. When I asked about the Marvels, I couldn't find. I had to go by myself. Nobody would go with me. Not her, not my best friend. Nobody wanted to see that movie.
Yeah, the Miss Marvel show killed it for my girlfriend. She was just like, "Yeah, this is not."
It's just funny because I didn't hate parts of that show. I actually thought parts of that show were good. But so Ncuti Gatwa, I don't want to diminish racial aggression at all. But for me personally, I find it fascinating that it matters so much to these people. You're going to limit yourselves from a show that you claim to love because you don't like something about someone's appearance or their race. No, it is not that it matters so much to these people, is that it matters so much to you. You guys are the ones that keep saying it.
It's also revisionist history because during the Moffat era, you know, I do believe that they were trying to get Idris Elba because Idris Elba kept talking about it. But what's the Baron Mordo actor's name? I can't remember his name.
I can't pronounce it.
He was going to be the Doctor before it was Capaldi, and
I would have loved that.
It was his role. It was his role to turn down.
Chitwell Ejiofor.
Thank you. He was supposed to be the Doctor before it was going to go to before it was Capaldi.
John J. ID 999 with $5. Thank you. Says I went and saw the Marvels and walked out halfway when Nick Fury was chasing the 100 cats that got loose. I stood up, laughed, and left. Wasted $7. Well, $7. You must have gone to a matinee.
What theater you go to, dude?
A matinee on a Tuesday.
Jesus.
But no, Kevin, you're absolutely right. But like,
stop gaslighting people. And then before we got to even Jodie Whittaker, right? People were like marking out for the possibility that it could have been Helen Mirren, that it could have been Tilda Swinton. At one point we were talking about the possibility of having either the Doctor or the Master be played by Idris Elba, and the Master or the Doctor being played by Tilda Swinton, and how awesome those episodes.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been great.
Don't sit here and gaslight me because no one want to watch your fucking twink ass flighty flounce around the screen and in a nightclub, and it's boring as shit. And
they're like oh, why are all these people that don't want to watch this? I feel so bad for you because you're so obsessed with race and sexuality. But these are the interviews they're doing. Well, Russell T. Davies says it's his job to let trans and queer stories through.
Russell,
we're not the ones focusing on this. Every interview they have done has been about race and sexuality.
Russell has anointed himself the queer messiah. I get it, dude.
Yes.
You wrote Queer as Folk back in the 90s. It was a good show, but like, you know, there were gay people before you and there will be gay people after you, brother. And there have been much more compelling gay projects. Honestly, what is the name of the movie? It's from the 90s. It's a movie called Jeffrey. You follow the experience of a gay guy who's trying to find love. Patrick Stewart is amazing in it. What's his name?
So good.
But it's like, I'm like, bro, like there are people out here putting out quality content that give you different perspectives all day, every day. You're just because you anointed yourself the one, it doesn't mean that you're the one who's going to fucking crack open the Matrix. Also, too, hey Russell, while you're out here lecturing everybody, I think it's really fucking weird that you seem to be upset about Netflix not doing a good job not protecting the identities of the predators that they exposed in Baby Reindeer. Is there something in your closet you want to discuss, Russell?
Wait, what did he say about that?
Oh,
I hadn't heard this either.
He went on a long tirade about how he thought it was despicable that Netflix didn't do more to mask the identities of the people mentioned.
Of who? See, because this is what I mean. There's this weird. That's the thing, like with Hollywood too, man. Again, not to get conspiratorial, but they preach this shit where it's like, oh, there's like grape culture, right? And then they're all preaching it, and it's like, yeah, in Hollywood, you fucking weirdos. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's where that's just going on.
This isn't happening in small town Idaho. This isn't happening in New Jersey. This is happening in your town. Like, God, like, hey, we know what you animals were doing to people in the Playboy Mansion.
Or in the Judy Garland, dude. Like, you know?
I put that every time it pops up on my Instagram. I post that clip of Judy Garland talking about. It's like it's insane to me. Like what they did to Shirley Temple. It's like you people have a disgusting
Corey Feldman.
Yep,
Corey Feldman.
Diddy. Look at what we're talking about.
Diddy, yeah.
Epstein, you know what I mean? Like,
you look at like Seth MacFarlane made a reference to Harvey Weinstein in 2013 about the things he was doing, and the entire room of Hollywood elites laughed because they all knew it was happening. And who do they all still protect? They all still protect Roman Polanski. They'll form a human chain to protect Roman Polanski.
They laughed. And they have more or less soft blackballed Seth MacFarlane because Seth hasn't done anything since he hosted those Oscars.
Yeah, he just argued with Bill on Bill Maher's podcast. He was just arguing with Bill Maher. But I definitely I definitely sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Sorry, Marvin.
It's okay. It happens to me all the time.
The crux of it was that if the BBC had made Baby Reindeer, that they would have gone to
right. That's what I was. That's
identities.
So they found the girl, right? So I'm super into the show Baby Reindeer. If you haven't yet, check it out. And
I gotta watch this show.
Yeah, I'll give you the clip, the quick cliff notes. There's the guy who directed it and wrote it, and he's the star of it as well. And he's just doing his one-man show and telling his story.
Everyone keeps saying this, that episode 4 is like really hard to get through.
Yeah, I mean, there's a warning in front of it, and I won't lie, like the first few episodes are so good, and then the story, there's some of it where I felt like it kind of dragged on, where I was like, okay, you could have maybe condensed some of this, but that again is just me nitpicking, and this is his story, this is his truth, so that just gives it a little bit of leeway with me as far as like, this is a one-man show he's been doing in London and all of these things. But he turns it to this Netflix show. Now they found basically it's about this guy. He's a stand-up comedian. He's pretty much a hack, but he's trying to make things work. And he works at this pub. He starts getting stalked by this girl. And throughout the show, he shows real texts that he received from this girl in his real life, but they are sort of the transitions between the scenes and the time lapses, etc. And so this is like years, like a few years of him getting stalked by this girl named Martha, and then he sort of catches a break in Hollywood, and it takes a weird story, and has love problems like any normal human being, but it's just a great story, great acting. And they track down who the actual girl is, and then the producer. So he gets involved with this producer. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that producer, they tracked him down, like fans of the show. They thought they did because of the way the guy looked, and it's someone that this guy worked with in the past. I forget his name, something Gad or something like that. But either way, that's not the guy, I guess, because he looked similar to the actor who played him in the show. But the actual producer is still sort of being protected. But there's people like who work in the industry who have podcasts and stuff, and they're like, everyone knows who it is. Like everyone knows who there's
of course they do
hinted towards it. So it is weird that they're protecting him. And fuck this guy for saying, Netflix should protect him more. Why? You guys go watch that show and look at what he did. This is
Well, see, we have suffered through probably almost 100 years of you animals protecting each other, and then having the audacity to turn and lecture everybody else in the room, people who live normal lives. It's like during Me Too, every man is a piece of shit, and even innocent guys have to be punished because of something some man did. I'm like, no, like the vast majority of people are good people. It really seems to be a very small number of psychopaths and narcissists who are trying to frame a narrative to why did nobody watch award shows anymore? Because it's a bunch of narcissists patting themselves in the back
and doing weird. Yeah, it's just a weird thing.
Narcissists who have no actual idea of what life is anymore.
Yeah,
they have been in this bubble. Like look at like Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, she used to be like the relatable like Hollywood star. Oh my god, she fell going up to get her Oscar, and she like laughs and she like pokes fun at herself. And now she's like, well, Katniss Everdeen was the first ever female action star, and she's just gotten completely up her own ass. And it happens eventually, because when you are sheltered and you have that much money and you are so removed, you have to remove yourself from society, because if you're not, you're going to get mobbed by people that have no chill. So when you are that isolated, eventually you turn into what everyone around you is in Hollywood. Like the people that you are allowed to associate with.
Oh, of course. And then there's people like they do media training. So then they're being told this, or like, here, put this outfit on and go walk at this gala and it's good press or whatever. And it's just some weird, the black it's ritualistic, mind control going on. But like, I don't know, whatever, I'm not like I don't rule anything out, but like, it's weird. It's all like ritualistic and weird, and people are just turned off by it who live normal lives, I think.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I get it. We're not sitting here saying they put things in the water to make the frogs gay.
Yeah,
We're not doing that. we're talking about things that all you have to do is a very, very tepid Google search, and you're gonna and just listen, or just go on Hulu and watch the Playboy Mansion show.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Brian Singer.
Brian Singer.
Dude, we could go on for
doing-
days and days and days about
Listen,
Hollywood. Like,
fucking Kevin Spacey is in movies again. I was watching some shitty I was watching some shitty Tubi movie, and Kevin Spacey. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was a movie that I should have watched on Tubi, but spent too much money grabbing it off of Amazon. And Kevin Spacey is in the trailer for one of these shitty direct-to-home video movies, because he can't go to trial because he has that Hillary Clinton magic where all the witnesses always just seem to fall.
All right, we're not going to get into politicians here, but Brian Singer, Seth MacFarlane called that one out too. There's a joke on Family Guy where Peter does like a cutaway where he's like, "Oh, it's just like the time I attended Brian Singer's birthday party," and he's going to walk in, and the bouncer stops him and goes, "Hey, how old are you?" And he goes, "Younger than is legal in any country in the world." And he goes, "All right, great. Go in. Have a good time. Tell whoever you want about this, by the way, because weirdly enough, no one seems to care about this."
And people were talking about this during Superman Returns. So it's like, he
fled to Israel. He lives in Israel now, apparently. Netanyahu shielded him with his body.
So it's like he was allowed to, he finally got kicked off of Bohemian Rhapsody. Like that was the extent of it. So it's like, we aren't the broken ones.
Yeah.
We're the ones out here just trying to have fun, who want to be able to sit down and laugh and enjoy something for 30 to 45 minutes without having some disingenuous twat lecture me about something I wouldn't do to begin with because I'm not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's like, what?
Why multi-billion corporations are investing in cat food and boxed wine. Because we all know you're all going to die alone.
It's true, dude.
You will die buried under your bulk supply of cat food while your cats eat your remains. We don't really care what you have to say. Not only did you hit the wall, you smashed into it face first, and no one wants to hear from you because you're a miserable person, and we're glad you're going to die alone. We'll all actually have it marked on our calendars to throw a big party when we find out you're gone.
I just think it's natural selection. You know what I mean?
But see, like they actually buy the cat food and the boxed wine, but things that are made for these women that they don't actually watch are things like our next topic, the Rings of Power from Lord of the Rings.
I gotta go home to my wife, by the way. She's like, wrap it the fuck up.
Okay. We're about this is our last topic. The Rings of Power is the thing that broke. The Rings of Power is the reason I exist, folks, in this form, because I was watching Rings of Power, and let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret about Marvin the Movie Monster. All right. I was the biggest hippie leftist. Kevin will tell you. And like now I'm like in the middle and in the gray area because I watched the Rings of Power and something broke in me because I watched this thing that I love so dearly from a man, from the mind of a man who I consider a personal hero who defined an entire genre of storytelling. And I watched activist hacks take his work, this work that he poured so much of his like thoughts and life into. He invented a language. He invented an entire millennia history of this world. And they took it and they turned it into, do you know why a ship floats, but a stone cannot? No. Yeah, I do. It's called buoyancy. That's why. Mr. Galadriel's brother. They took Galadriel, one of the most Galadriel is one of my favorite literary characters. I mean, a character that did not need to become a girl boss to be awesome. Galadriel was already awesome. Galadriel was already one of the most powerful beings in Middle Earth. And she was able to do it while being graceful and had poise. And now she's just sneering her way through sword fights with like 10 guys and killing an ice troll with no help. This show is the biggest disaster that has ever happened in entertainment. It is insulting to people that actually like Tolkien. It shatters the lore with things like, oh, who is this? It might be Gandalf, but it's probably not Gandalf. Oh, wait, it's actually Gandalf. thousands of years before Gandalf is supposed to show up in Middle Earth. We introduce you to this guy on a raft in the first episode, and we're like, who's this? I bet you it's Sauron. And they're like, no, it's not Sauron. Guess what? It's Sauron.
It's Sauron, yeah.
Like, and now we get the trailer for it, and it got ratioed into oblivion, like immediately. Nobody wants this show. It lost 60% of its audience from episode 1 to however many episodes of it was. And I watched all of them. I wasn't one of the ones that dropped off.
And you got to remember too, every time someone got a Prime subscription, they made you watch the damn episode. So they flooded Brazil. Please watch this. Please watch this. So like that 60% of the audience, they didn't even really exist because you got bullied into watching this shit show that everyone's like, what is happening here?
Well, and like, you know, like they're hinting at Durin's Bane, the Balrog, and like it shows up for like a post-credit scene, basically. Well, it amounts to. It was just lies after lies after lies, and the Sauron reveal. Caleb Rimbaugh, the greatest Smith of the Second Age, who was done perfectly, by the way, in the Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor game. They made him look like a librarian or an accountant, first of all, and the greatest Smith in the world, has never heard of what an alloy is. Sauron has to explain to you what an alloy is. Oh, maybe mix two metals together. Oh my God, I never thought to do that. Like, come on. It's terrible. It is terrible. So this trailer comes out, and then the greatest thing that has ever happened. So they hyped that this was coming out. They're like, tomorrow, the Rings of Power trailer. So yeah, I guess the bots could all like, you know, start, you know, you will be assimilated.
Yeah.
Master of the TDS does a great job of pointing out those bots, by the way. They assemble the bot armies. They released this trailer maybe 2 to 4 hours later. House of the Dragon drops its trailer, and it's awesome.
Was that by design? Do you think they were like?
I 100% think, because Amazon and Warner Brothers right now are having a tug of war over Lord of the Rings, because
Warner Brothers owns everything that is of significance.
Yes,
Amazon owns a compendium.
Yeah, and Embracer Group is reaping all the benefits.
Kevin Haggerty speaking my language in the chat here. Caleb Rimbaugh was the grandson of the greatest smith in Arda, Feanor. Yes, exactly. And his father never heard of an alloy either, apparently. Not until weird face Sauron showed up. And then, you know, Sauron can change his face. They put Sauron in the trailer for season 2, and it's literally just the same guy, but he's wearing a wig and like elf ears now. And they're all like, who's this guy? And I'm like, come on, he's literally wearing a wig. But they were all of them deceived, Kevin, because another wig was made deep in the fires of Mordor. That it's just it is probably the worst, most offensive show I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I fell off, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I also the Hobbit movies. I fucking hated those, and I love the Hobbit book. It's like my favorite book, probably. And
there's things to enjoy in those movies, though.
Yeah, sure. But
all in all, they're not great. But
like, I mean, a movie, maybe 2 or not 2.
Yeah.
I like trilogies.
I liked Cumberbatch. I like Cumberbatch as Smaug. I liked I like the scene that they added, even when Galadriel, like, look, and don't say it's because of, it's like, oh, you don't want to see women be powerful. My favorite scene in the Hobbit movies is when Galadriel literally bumps Sauron out of out of the wild, like when she just, like, you know, when he's the necromancer, and Galadriel shows up and just like, servant of Morgoth, and like bounces him out. It was amazing.
and so this trailer got like ratioed to obliviacry, as old Shane Douglas would say. But yeah, dude. But and then Rings of Power, House of the Dragon season 2, that was ratioed like the other way, positive. Right? So
positive ratio there. People, because these shows were out at the same time last time too, and everyone loves House of the Dragon. Look, it's got the same issue that, like, you know, what we talk about with The Last Jedi, where it's like, I have a hard time getting into the show sometimes because I know where it's going, and I know that all roads lead to King Bran's stock, which nobody wanted. But yeah, like, they're talking about like the Song of Ice and Fire and like the Prince Who Was Promised, and I was like, okay, yeah, but that all turned out to be bullshit and not anything, because Arya Stark kills the Night King. But yeah, House of the Dragon is great. It's a good show. Matt Smith owns it. Like,
I gotta watch
Matt
it.
Smith
I haven't seen it yet.
good. Yeah,
I'm hopeful. There's a whole bunch of characters that we could have seen last year that I understand if they held them off for this season. I love the first, and I was late to the party. I did not watch Game of Thrones, and everybody else did because
yeah. I remember trying to get you to watch it, and you didn't.
I was like,
You had read the books.
I read most of all of the books. I'm like, I kind of got into what's going to go on. I finally broke down, watched it with my wife, and then the last season was just straight shite. I'm like, I don't understand what you guys were even pretending to want to try to do here. Because like even if you're going off of your established roadmap, none of this actually makes sense. The House of the Dragon, there were some decisions that got made very early on that I'm like, I don't know how you're going to tell this story because it's kind of impossible, but they found a way to make it work.
They did.
We don't need, it worked. It just worked.
Also, by the way, it is a show with minorities and women and and everyone likes it. So again,
everyone likes it. Good storytelling, good acting, good performances. There's no substitute for talent and authenticity.
Yep. And it all comes down to the writing, because the writers today, they all just want to put themselves in it. They cannot envision anything outside of their own mind. And that is so limiting as a creative. Yeah, like here's something to end. We'll go into.
I was saying it's how you get ugly Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2.
Yep. We'll go into more of this. I wanted to get to so much more this week. I wanted to get into like the Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff and Luke Skywalker possibly coming back, the Acolyte. But I guess that's gonna have to be for next time. And we were talking about possibly moving the show to Wednesdays instead. So because I heard that Phil is going to be moving his live stream off of Wednesdays. So is that true, Phil?
No, actually, that's not true. I just took this Wednesday off because
okay.
I just.
But now I gotta figure out what
because I'm gonna go live Saturday to watch the King and Queen of the Ring, and I'm going to go live again Sunday to watch Double or Nothing. So I was like, I'm gonna take this Wednesday off. So no, I'm not moving my show. I watched Dynamite.
Oh, okay.
No.
You know what? I remember thinking to myself, we're just going to start early so that we're done by the time Dynamite comes on.
Yeah, do a lead in or something like that.
It'll be like the block. It'll be you watch Tooney Talk TV and then you go watch Pro Wrestling Times.
Exactly.
And I will watch Dynamite with you. I promise.
Yeah, come do it, you guys.
I will even do it too one day.
Yeah, just come watch it with me one time. Like Awful's always in there. It's hilarious, man. We have such a good time. But I guess
I saw you had Alfred in there recently too. That's awesome. I love.
Alfred. We did a recorded show, so he was just on the podcast there at Pro Wrestle Times and at Pro Wrestle Clips. I guess that's my plug for the.
I was literally just gonna tell you to do a plug, so I figured I'd just give you the opening.
Yeah, and Alfred Konawa, man. If you guys are a fan of him and what he does, and you guys are into the Graps, come check out. We talked about the Tom Brady roast and actually a lot of Netflix stuff and how The Rock is actually probably could very well be the next dude who gets roasted with Netflix there. And we talk about Kill Tony and a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, so
Hollywood's already roasting him.
But yeah, we definitely, we could set it up like a little block or whatever. And I would love for you guys to come watch Dynamite with me one time because it's some of the most fun. And it's crazy. The week I took off, dude, they're like dropping blood on people. Tony Khan's dropping people. Darby off to the ring with flamethrowers. The fucking tables are falling apart. The crowd's hijacking the show. And who wrote this shit? And they got, you know what I mean? So I was like, damn, I took the wrong week off. But dude, I enjoy going live. I enjoy going live a lot. And I really want you guys to come, especially you, Apollo, man. You got to come do the show sometime, man.
I promise, bro. Just give me a little bit more time.
Whenever you're free, no pressure.
Got the newborn, and my wife has been very accommodating. Although I'm sure we said his name enough, so my father just appeared upstairs.
He said it too many times.
Yeah.
He's like Black Liam Neeson from Taken. But to end on a great note here, John JID 999 $5. Thank you so much. Says so many shows, movies right now are like AEW doing bunkhouse matches. Not even a look, maybe a glance at the original source, and just disrespecting history. That is 100% true. And so we just heard where to find Phil. Kevin, Apollo, anything to plug before we end here tonight?
No, if you live in the Rockland County, Bergen County area, come see ACW at Boulder Stadium June 2nd. We're going to be doing a short show after the morning game, and then heading up to Middletown, New York, July 13th for I think the Great American Banger. No, I'm calling it the All American Banger. Our annual Middletown or Galleria at Crystal Run show. And then after that, this is going to kind of be a light summer. I'm going to kind of work on helping crank out more content for the channel, and I just have some fun with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, guys? Remember, Tooney Talk Wrestling every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Check out our new channel, Tooney Talk. Tooney Town TV, which is youtube.com/@TooneyTown TV. I'll be clipping this episode probably and posting up there as well. I'm going to start doing like daily rundowns of like things that drop and more live streams over there as well. Once, we get that channel to where it can do live streams. And just thank you so much to everyone that tuned in, everyone that super chatted. Thank you guys. This is a new concept, so it exceeded my expectations, which were very low. But thank you guys so much. For my good friend Phil Marks from Pro Wrestling Times, for Kevin Apollo, I am Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here.